All right, everybody. Happy New Year. Thanks, everybody, for coming here. I'm so excited about this. And, I really like that intro because especially us in the spirit world, we are constantly thinking about how we can be energetically higher vibration. And sometimes we forget how amazing it is when we are actually 3D still, and all the amazing 3D things that we can do. And I was just talking to Lisa, who's in the waiting room right now, about how, one of the things that we forget is that we've come here very specifically. We've come here on purpose so that we can have a human experience. And so sometimes we go, well, I don't want to have these emotions, and I don't want to have this experience. I don't want to have that experience. And the way that I look at it as, if we are our higher selves, if we are source, we don't get to breathe. Do we need to breathe if we are our higher selves? We don't need to. So why would we? We only need to breathe because we are humans and we have to bring in this oxygen for survival. So I was joking, saying like, oh yeah, so if you're our higher selves, we're looking down at the 3D world going, boy, it sure would be cool to be able to breathe and stuff. No, it doesn't quite feel the same, doesn't quite feel right. I need to actually make it so that I incarnate into one of these beings, and so I can breathe and enjoy that experience. So anyway, super excited about doing this. I really came up with this idea just like yesterday. So there isn't a whole bunch of work that's gone into making this happen, but I would like to thank everybody who shared those messages. And David Starr is a big one, and he's in the waiting room right now too. I'm going to bring him in a second. So thank you, David. But it's a fun idea, mostly because a lot of people are stuck at home for this. And I was even looking like, I wonder if there's something that I could do on New Year's Eve. I don't know that a lot of people around here. I'm in Albuquerque right now, which is not my hometown or anything. And so I was like, I don't know. I kind of would rather do something in front of my computer. What could that be? I don't want to just watch movies or whatever, or watch the ball drop. That's just silliness. So maybe I could get a bunch of people together and we could all have a conversation. We could all get to know each other, and we could make it a little bit more loose, a little bit more like a party. Because a lot of if anybody is tuned into the Higher Self Expo, which is a metaphysical conference that I put on, that's very regulated, and like we introduce this first and they have 30 minutes and then we go on to the next. I want this to be wide open. And right now I see that on a couple of different platforms that are watching live, there's 11 people. And we have 2 people in the waiting room right now. So I've also provided a link that you can use to connect and join us for a conversation. So yeah, we're going to do some stuff where we're going to do some healing and things like that, but we're also just going to talk and get to know each other. So if you want to participate in that, I'm using StreamYard, which that link is very easy. You click on it and you're in pretty much. It's super simple. And it has a maximum of 10 people simultaneously. So at some point I might have to say, we're going to have to leave some space open, but there, somebody else just joined. Wonderful. I'm going to, all right, here's my little scrolling thing. We have slots open, so check it out. So, okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to introduce my amazing friend, Mr. David Starr. Hello, David. How are you?
Happy New Year's, everybody. 2021. We got through that 2020.
Yeah, almost. It depends on where you are right now. Yes, actually,
true, yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot, especially because I do a lot of like, talking to people in Australia or in Europe or whatever. And so I realized that the US is last. We're always last to go on to the new day. Everybody else is on tomorrow, but we're still on today.
We sort of follow you in Canada. It's the same thing. Like
right.
I don't know how many like Happy New Year's messages I got from Australia like 12 hours ago, and then UK 6 hours ago.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, Hawaii, I suppose, is like the last one. I don't know. Alaska, I don't know. Does anybody live on that like strait out there? I don't know. But anyway,
people. Yeah.
So
what was that story? Oh, there was some story. I think it was Alaska. I was pretty sure it was so funny. I'll never forget it because I laughed so hard. In March, when the outbreak was happening in Canada, and in Vancouver, I was getting a lot of cases. So these two BC couple, they sold everything they had. They hop on the plane and they go they go to like some like no-name town in Alaska looking for jobs. And like they met him at the airport, and like and this is a city that had in Alaska that had I think 20 people. It wasn't a lot. So they're like, wait a second here, like we're feeling pretty safe in our city of 26 people, and you're coming in from a plane looking for a job when you're getting all these cases that are happening in BC. So they actually escorted them back to the terminal, and they flew them back to BC.
Wow.
But it made the headlines, and I was just laughing so hard because they said they look like comic strip people coming off the plane, all colorful and stuff in Alaska, and it's just looking to start a new life.
Wow, that's awesome.
Oh, man.
All right, I'm gonna bring in another Canadian. It's Lisa. Lisa, you're muted, so if you start to talk, we won't be able to hear you, but we definitely want to hear you. So, yeah, I would, actually, David, you should go ahead and introduce yourself, because I'm sure there's lots of people who don't know who David Starr is yet, and so I want them to know that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a healer. I'm working on a music project right now that's starting to get some streams on Spotify. There's going to be a marketing push. It's called 5D Crew. And in the 5D Crew, we've embedded codes and activations for DNA activations, divine feminine masculine union, and a variety of different codes, awakening codes, as Xane participated in our debut song, which was a cover song called The Power of Love. But it's all about codes and activations with dance music, basically.
Right.
That's fun.
I just widened you out so people could see that they could follow you on Instagram using the 5D Crew, whatever that's called, handle. I don't know, what do they call that on Instagram now?
Yeah, I think they're handles. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, what else about you? How about tell us quickly, like what was your awakening experience like?
Well, it happened. I went through a couple of awakenings. Like I went one in my early 20s, and maybe I was about 19, and I had a lot of different things happen between ET contact and a very strong guidance team coming down in holograms, giving me messages, and just some very interesting things. Even angels coming down and showering me with energy and stuff like that. Like just some really profound experiences. Then I kind of, when I was 26, I was diving so much into spirituality. One of my guides came down and they're like, look, you just have to live your life. You can't just, you're here in the physical to experience here. You can't just be diving in these metaphysical pursuits. So started a business and got some things going.
Oh, hilarious. Kind of like I was talking about at the open of this, right? Like we get so metaphysically focused that we forget about physics. So that's
great. And it's kind of like at where I'm at right now too. Like 2020 was such a year of transformation, like it beyond anything I've experienced my entire life. Like uniting with like the Fae kingdom, having Fae appear in front of me, even. The Dragon Collective had no idea who they were. They just came out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh yeah, I forgot I have a dragon and I can talk to dragons. Okay, very cool. It's like, whoa, okay. And the astral traveling was just a whole. Like, there's so many things opened up in 2020, all these dimensions and stuff, and it's blowing my mind. It really has, and feeling the energies of December expanding the way they've expanded, and even into now, it's just. I've never felt so much expansion before. Seeing everybody that I know that are intuitive are seeing a lot of stuff now, like flashes of lights, diamonds of lights, everywhere in their houses, outside. It's just a unique time, and we all think the mass awakening is right around the corner. So
yeah, it sounds like you also really have the ability to see some of that stuff. We were talking before the broadcast, and you had some pretty interesting stories too. So we'll have to get into those. But there's two more people in the waiting room, so I want to keep going through our intros. So Lisa, you are next. Tell us about you. Who are you, and maybe your awakening story.
My name is Lisa, and I'm just, your average person in Edmonton.
No, already wrong. You are an amazing.
Well, I'm not like trying
You know,
to. I'm not doing all those great things that David is doing with spreading the code. But you know what I am doing?
You're an amazing being of light, Lisa. You're an amazing being of light.
And I invite people to more possibility doing my job, which is just the weirdest thing because I sell glasses, right? But so my story of awakening, we were talking earlier, and I'll just set the stage a little bit. I had gone through a divorce, and I was a shame-based living kind of person, just really searching for the right way to do things because I had screwed up so badly, I felt at the time. And I went to this seminar. It was a week-long seminar, and it was about meeting your fears. So I figured I'd take this course, and then I would stop living in fear and yada, yada, yada.
Nice.
And we did this one exercise, and where you had to sit across from one person to another, just kind of going down a line and read the person. And I'd never done anything like that in my consciousness before. And yet I was really good at it. And when we finished the exercise, and everybody I think it was a group of about 30 people per line. So you read 30 other people. And I had this thing happen, and I didn't have any words for it. And so if I put words that I know now, it doesn't flow with my story. But it felt like there was light all around my top of my head, and like a flashlight. That's how I thought of it in the moment, like this complete flashlight. And I could look at anybody in the room, and I would have information that I almost like that I shouldn't have. But at the same time, because this was such a loving feeling, and like there was absolutely no judgment within me about what I was sensing, about what other people were going through in those moments. It was just a beautiful, connected way. And I looked in the room like, kind of like, what the heck is happening right now? And the guy who's running the show, he's kind of doing his own thing. He's getting something ready on stage. And I kind of, as I asked the question, what's happening? I kind of like zero in on him, and I know he's going to have an answer for me. He knows what's happening to me right now. So I go over there and I ask him, I'm like, so this is what I'm sensing, this flashlight in my head, and I'm like getting all this information. And he goes, oh, and he looked a little ticked off right in that moment. And he's like, your third eye is open. And I had no language. I had no idea what the heck he was. I'm
what
like,
a third eye was, right?
What is that? Because I was like, Judeo-Christian background. That is all I knew, because that's all I would look at.
Uh-huh.
And so I've heard a lot of other people's stories since then. And somebody I was listening to the other day talked about awakening, and how sometimes for some people you'll get a big flash of what you could experience on your daily life. And then you need to find your path there. And so I've been on that path in my 3D existence since then.
Wonderful. Yeah.
So you're extremely empathic, intuitive, and
Yeah.
That's really good. Need you at the negotiation tables.
Right.
Yeah. And I've been told, and it's rang true for me, is that I'm a seed starter. So I don't know what that means, but when that person said that was what they got from me, it just seemed right. You know how you get that feeling?
So you activate people then.
Yeah,
like,
and I don't know how.
You could just be energetically. You could just be walking by people who are chosen to awaken, and just activate them as you pass them. It's amazing what energy does. It just does whatever it's called to do.
Well, that and intention too. Like all you really have to do is set your intention. And in my case, I got to talk to the HATHORS, and I said, how do I use my gifts? And they said, oh, you do this thing and this thing and that thing. And it was nice and clear and easy and obvious. but not everybody's like that. You just kind of have to try things, experiment, feel what feels right. And we'll get into all that good stuff. That's a really fun topic. But I definitely want to introduce Leonard. Hello, Leonard. So nice to meet you again. Please introduce yourself to everybody and maybe tell your awakening story.
Yeah. By the way, is my audio clear?
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. So my name is Leonard and I'm an author. I'm also an artist, a freelance artist. So basically I express myself through writing and art. That's basically how I describe my creative expression. And my awakening, it was like when I was 27, I was sitting in a mindfulness workshop or seminar, and the facilitator asked the question, what if life has no agenda? And then she mentioned the word experiencer. That time when I heard that word experiencer, I couldn't explain it. Something inside me shifted. Like I used to be in a religious background where I used to believe of a God who punishes you down to hell when you're not up to par with his standards. But when I heard the word experiencer, I realized, and then that's the time I started searching for answers. The first question I had in mind was, is hell and heaven a real place? So I started joining Facebook groups online, and that's the beauty of social media. I got a lot of answers. And then one time there's someone in my country. I'm from the Philippines. I've met one person who said, if God punishes you to hell, let's say this is God is omnipresent and he tears, and you're part of him, you're part of the source expression, and he tears you apart and he burns you, what will happen to God? If you're part of him, how can you be separate from him? So that's the beginning of me realizing a lot of things. So it was a cumulative experience of opening up to oneness. And yeah.
Do you channel and write like what you're channeling and stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's how, if channeling is the word for it, I think sometimes I write spontaneously without thought, and then I think that's how I do it.
That's like channeling for sure. Awesome.
Nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, Leonard interviewed me on his really awesome, like 12 Days of Christmas show, but I forget exactly what you called it. It was pretty awesome. It was fantastic, though. So I thank you so much for that opportunity. That was really great.
Yeah, that's the 13 gifts of solstice.
There you go.
Yeah.
You would know it better than me. Sorry.
Yeah, because just a short one. The reason why I presented that is because this is my truth. I think everybody is awake. I really don't resonate with the truth that there's somebody sleeping and there's a group of people awake, and that's creating duality. I think I don't even consider myself awake. I just see myself as lucidly dreaming. I'm just aware that I'm in a dream. But I think in the shift of the new frequency, everybody will just shift beautifully in a beautiful expression of wholeness. So
yeah, that's fantastic. All right, Marcella, am I saying your name right? Is it Marcella?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Marcella. Yeah, we can hear you. Hi. Wonderful to see you. Happy New Year.
I missed so much. Happy New Year.
Oh,
I missed what she had to say. I missed half of it.
Oh, that's okay. You're fine. So tell us, introduce yourself.
So what are we talking about?
Well, everybody's just introducing themselves right now. So go ahead and introduce yourself. And maybe what was your awakening experience like? And we have one more person in the waiting room. Norman, I know you're there, so I'll bring you in a second.
My name is Marcella. I don't know if I had one awakening moment. Like, I'd have to think about that. I don't know that I ever did. I mean, I'm sure. I don't know what to say. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. It's wonderful. Think about it if you've got a fun story, because, you know, most of us were kind of going along and we followed society's rules, right? We said, I've got to get a job. I've got to make money. I should probably get a wife, or, you know, I should have some children, or I should buy a house. Like, we follow this normal everyday life. But then one day, for many of us, but maybe not you. Maybe you were born open to this. We have that moment where we go, wait a minute, what am I doing? Why am I following all these rules? These rules are actually kind of making me miserable. And I would like to stop being miserable. And so now, you know, something usually catalyzes, something happens where we watch a crazy documentary, or we see 11/11 all over the place, or we have something like that. Those are the types of moments that everybody loves to talk about and everybody loves to hear about. So did that trigger anything for you?
Well, thousands of things. Like, but ever since I was a child, I just was different than my friends, and I very quickly had to learn how to fit in and not fit in. Like, I didn't fit in, but I fit in everywhere. Do you understand?
Right.
Like, since I was a child, my mother we were meditating. I've seen things my whole life. I've felt things my whole life. And it just gets deeper with everything that happens in my life. It just seems to get deeper. Like, just when you think it can't get any deeper than that, it gets deeper. Like, you open even more. Like, I've lost everything in my life. Everything. And my heart is bigger than ever. And it seems like every time that happens, my heart gets bigger. I wish it would just crumble and close and die sometimes, because it's painful. But at the same time, it gets bigger. I don't know if anyone else goes through that.
That was an amazing explanation or description of I love that for your awakening moment. And I'm so glad we brought that out in you, because many of us throw away what we thought we cared about as part of our journey. We go through this purging process where we're purging emotions that we no longer need. We purge relationships that we no longer need. We purge physical objects and things that we no longer need. And that is a major part of that whole process. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Norman. So wonderful to talk to you. I don't think we have ever had the opportunity to do this before, but it's wonderful to meet you now and face to face. So please introduce yourself and maybe tell us your favorite awakening moment or experience.
I've had time to think about it, and I have a good one. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. I've been told that I was a Hathor prophet in Egypt at the time for the Hathor. So that's why I have a bond with Xane. Like, when he came out and all this stuff, it was like, so I watch all his videos and everything like that. It's like, I got
huge hits on that. Like that, you are definitely a Hathor. I'm still feeling it. Fantastic. Yay. Wonderful.
So I'm here to support any way I can. And so anyway, so my awakening story is I was just like a regular person, just confused about why this world is so, rough. And then I joined the army because, growing up in Brooklyn was rough. And then I got out in the military, going to war around 2003, about 1995, whatever, but they're always in war. And anyway, so right around 2003, 2004, something like that, I read an Edgar Cayce book. And that's what I traced my awakening to. The autobiography, I think it's like a river, something like that, something. Anyway, there's a part in the book, I'm reading it, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I wonder if this is true, But there was a part in it where he was sitting there. If anyone's read the book, it's an amazing book.
I remember the book.
Anyway, there's a part in it where he's sitting there and he's channeled, and in the middle of the channel, everyone says the room starts to shake. And this big energy fills the room, and all of a sudden his voice got deep, and he got this, guttural voice, regal, and he said, and it was Archangel Michael coming through. He said, bow thine heads, ye children of men, for the Lord of the way has come. And I can't remember the rest, but he said some deep stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
As I'm reading it, every ounce of my body said, this is true. That is an archangel. This is the left hand of God, because Metatron is the right hand of God. And so after that, I started researching. I've never heard of archangels before, angels. And I think his job was to wake me up, because I started researching everything about angels, angels, Metatron, everything. I couldn't get enough. And I started reading books after book. The next book that really did something for me was Journey of Souls by Michael Newton. Journey of Souls. It's that psychiatrist that hypnotized people, and they all told the same story about heaven and all this stuff in past lives. That book was like, wow. So I didn't fear death after reading that book anymore. That was great because I used to fear dying. But after that book, I was like, we keep coming back. And then the next book was Conversation with God, Neil Donald Walsh. Amazing book. But I read the one actually, Communion with God. And it just blew my mind that I'm reading this book. And the first couple of pages, this guy is saying, you're going to find this hard to believe, but this is your personal conversation with God. No other person is having this conversation. And that blew my mind. And ever since then, I've been spiritual. I've been seeking, and I studied alchemy for like 5 years with Master in Alchemy. And I've been on the ascension path. I decided that I'm going to want to ascend this lifetime, so I've been working on that. And right now, the pinnacle of all my stuff, I study with Sananda and Shekinah. Anyone heard of them?
Mm-mm.
You will coming.
Nice.
That's a long story who they are, but let's just say when Jesus went, he was a man. He went to study in Babaji in India. Babaji turned him into an ascension, and when he ascended, because when we come in, we only come in like 5% of ourselves. 10% at the most. Michael Jackson only had like 15 or something like that. So when you come in, right, you only have a small percentage of your soul. But when you ascend, your body is ready to hold 100%. So when Yeshua, what we call Jesus, fully ascended, he held 100% of his soul. So he became his oversoul, which is Sananda. Sananda is the oversoul of the earth. That's another thing. The earth has an oversoul. That's Ananda. He keeps coming back. So anyway, he returned again in October 17th. He was born again. He went to study with Babaji. He fully ascended again, met his twin flame, and now they're doing public service. But right now they're only attracting a certain intergroup, but they're getting ready to go really public. And we're all going to experience the same thing that they experienced 2,000 years ago.
Beautiful. Wow. Wow, Norman, what a great intro. So nice to meet you. Happy New Year. And I'm going to go ahead and add another person to our group here, Kristin. Hi, Kristin.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Happy New Year.
You guys can hear me good?
Yep, we sure can.
Okay, I just haven't used this platform before. So Happy New Year. And I'm in my bedroom. I'm not feeling very good. My son was just tested positive for the COVID. And
no.
And I got a head cold, but we'll hope it just stays like that. So I'm in my pajamas. I have no makeup on, and I'm in my bedroom. But anyway, hey, Norman, I was just looking up Sananda and Jesus, and he's got a LinkedIn account. So
Sananda Shekinah?
It just says Sananda Jesus Christ, and it's on LinkedIn. So
it might not be the same person.
I know, I'm just joking, but I did look it up, and it's on LinkedIn. Like,
They're actually on Facebook. Their group is called the Twin Ray Children of the Light, something like that. Ray.
I'll do more research, but I was like, I gotta at least get that Sananda down, and so I just threw it into a window
Kristin,
on my phone.
So can you introduce yourself a little bit more and tell us maybe your awakening story?
Sure. I'll try to be brief, I guess. I grew up very religious as a Mormon, and I left the faith completely about 5 years ago. But I really had one foot in and one foot out for quite a few years. A lot of people that leave my faith, I'm a little bit of an enigma, although I find people like me. I didn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I am very grateful for a lot of things I learned that the Mormon Church taught me that just has carried over into my more spiritual awakening life, which is that, I was taught as far back as I can remember that I existed before I was born, that I will exist after, and that I always have a connection to, they call it the Holy Ghost or the Spirit, and I just call it Spirit or my spirit guides or whatever. And so you know, probably like 10 years ago, I started reading a lot of books in secret, so I didn't get in trouble. But things like you had mentioned, Norman, I love Journey of Souls is one of my favorite books. And I've also read, what was the second one after that? Journey of Souls and...
Conversation with God.
Huh?
Conversation with God?
No, it's another by Michael Newton.
Oh.
Anyway, amazing
Destiny
books.
of God.
Yeah, Destiny of Souls. And a lot of stuff by Dolores Cannon. And it just really just blew my mind. And to me, it just kind of added on to that very base that I grew up with in the church. Anyway, so a lot of people have like big traumatic things that happen, and then they have these spiritual awakenings. And I think I kind of did it flip-flop. It's been almost 2 years now that my husband passed away from cancer, but about a year before he passed away, we were sitting in the doctor's office, and the doctor kind of just laid it out and said what was going on. And I had an intuitive feeling that he was going to be gone within the next 2 years. And he lasted just over a year. But while I was sitting there, I went through my head, oh my gosh, you know, my children, they're going to lose their dad, you know. And in the very next instance, oh my gosh, my mother-in-law, she had already lost a child. So this would be another adult child she lost. And the third person I thought of was myself, and I went, oh my gosh, me. And then my next thought was challenge accepted. All this that I had been learning all these years, I felt was preparing me for that.
Beautiful.
And that year that he went through chemotherapy and a lot of things, he was just actually a light and a joy to many people. And he's come back from the other side through people and told me how I supported him with a lot of my spiritual things that he was finally open to, because he was at the door, I guess. But anyway, it was just incredible. And so now I just continue on those things. Just my studies, you know, met Xane through Karen Swain, a teacher that I've been with for 4 years or more. And I don't know, I just get to be in incredible groups like this, and all it ever does is expand and open my field up, and I just learn more and more, and it's just awesome. So that's me, I guess.
Beautiful. Well, Happy New Year, Kristin.
Happy New Year to all of you. Happy new era. We are embarking on a new era, I think.
Absolutely. So. And I have to throw out this question that we just got. Oh, wow. It like moved everybody back. That's cool. Okay. Who wants to field this question first? How do you know when you are awakened? Raise your hand if you want to field it. Okay. Norman, you're up.
Yeah, that's a paradoxical question, because you're constantly awakening and you never stop awakening, because we start out, we're all the creators pretending to be everyone. And so you're awakening at different dimensions, and then you expand. It's constant expansion, and the expansion never ends. So there's an old saying, if you know someone is not awakened if they say, I'm awakened. So you're never really awakened, but you're always awakening. It's a paradox.
Right.
But you also like you also start resonating with the information that is related with spirituality, like reading those Doreen Virtue books, or reading looking on Google for the information. You're in a search for information. You just go into this like, oh, I need to know, and then you start resonating with all these truths, and as part of this consciousness expansion, you're expanding your awareness, and then it doesn't stop, like Norman says. Right. You're always expanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And anytime you find a paradox, then you know you're going down the right path, because the paradox is the path to everything. It's the path to peace. It's the path to discovery. It's the path to your true self, who you are as source. And so it's so funny, because we often go, well, it's paradoxical. That doesn't make sense. I don't want to go down that path. I'm a 3-dimensional being with linear thoughts. Like, I can't possibly understand paradox. But you can, even if it's just for a microsecond. You're just like, it's gone, but I got it. I know where I'm going with that. And it's just a really beautiful thing. So, okay.
Bashar says, paradoxes are beautiful because when you're at the center at the paradox, you're at the center of your power, because you get then to choose which way you want to go.
Right. And I say that you are at the 0 point. The 0 point, and what is that? The 0 point of non-judgment. And so this is my first topic that I would love to talk to everybody about, is judgment, because we can look back on 2020 and we can say, gosh, that sure sucked. Man, that was tough. Boy, did we go through a lot. Is this ever going to be over? What's going to blah, 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 right? And so we are passing judgment on everything. We are judgment machines. We just walk around judging stuff. Well, boy, it sure is hot out. It sure is nice out. I like this over here, but I don't like that. And man, I'm cold. I'm too hot. Blah, blah, blah. Like, we are constantly judgment machines. So my first question for the panel, I don't know if this was going to turn into a panel, but it is. This is great. The first question: how do you move into a state of non-judgment? I've got my own answer that I will share, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. So raise your hand if you want to go first. Oh boy, Lisa's was just up just a second before. So go ahead, Lisa. You're muted though, so you have to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sorry, it's because I breathe heavy. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But anyway,
yeah, that's a different panel.
Like, I grew up in a soup of judgment, and without the awareness that my parents were doing it, they didn't know what they were doing either. They were teaching me the generational habit of judging. So we would leave a party at Christmas time, say, and you notice how this, that, and the other thing was happening, and that's terrible. And the habit of judgment about weather. I mean, Canadians are fantastic about that because we have so much to complain about. It's like it's either too hot or too cold, or it's rainy or it's cloudy, and it's supposed to be a beautiful day, and oh my God, you know.
Where in Canada are you from?
I'm from Edmonton.
I'm Manitoba.
Same. And it's just like, you know, let's just enjoy what is. So 2020 has been a challenge, and I feel like I have so much to be grateful for, because I have had the opportunity to reevaluate how I've been living my life. And I think many people are in the same boat. They just haven't, and reflecting that on Facebook, sometimes people are like not wanting to hear that this has brought you to a better place or a newer awareness, or all they want to hear about how hard it is and how much more you're drinking. And I have been drinking more this year, quite honestly, but not mostly to sleep. But it's been a beautiful year as far as challenging me and everyone I know to really think about, where am I going? What am I doing? And is this what I want to continue to do in the future? And I have a real gratitude for that. I didn't have it in every moment of this year at all. Mm-hmm. But there was some serious losses for myself personally and business-wise this year. And so I had a lot of places where I felt like, as you said, Marcelo, you lost so much. But in the same moment, receiving so much, and so much that so many of the lies, and I guess that I told myself and judged myself for, not being enough, or being too much of, or not doing and not being, or not being present enough for my kids, or like there's just a litany of reasons why I could be down on myself. And last night, my youngest child, who is such a wonderful gift, he had a moment where I had to be a mom and be like, hey, we don't hit people or whatever. And this is something that's happened a few times. And he was really upset. And it was like, okay, it was time to let go of his upsetness. And he's like, Mom, I just want to hate myself right now. And it's like, well, okay, you can choose that, but you can also choose that for the rest of your life. And I'm going to tell you, that's a painful way to go. And that's your choice to make. Or you can just choose to learn a different way to express that you wanted something to stop, or that you wanted to, there's different ways to be. And because I'm aware that I have demonstrated not loving myself, and those weren't my best moments.
Right.
And not in judgment, but out of love for myself. I was my worst bully.
Mm-hmm.
And judger, and consequently judged the people around me and where I was in life and where I was headed, and why do they, we've all done it.
Yeah, it's very rare to judge yourself and not judge others, or to judge others and not judge yourself. You are in the judgment mindset.
Yeah.
So you're going to continue doing that at every possible opportunity because you're practiced at it. You're good at it.
Oh,
And before, right. And I really do want to say something else real quick, Lisa. It was very beautiful of you to be so honest with where you're at in every way. There's some, like drinking is considered kind of taboo among a group like this, right? But you were authentic and you said exactly what's going on. And I really want to commend you for that and encourage all of us to do that all the time in our day-to-day life, with everyone that we talk to, with every opportunity that we have, because that honesty gets practiced. You don't hide anything anymore. And then all of a sudden you now have in front of you all the things in your life that you could say, oh, here's something I would like to modify about myself. I think I would be better if I didn't do X or Y, or I did do Z or Z. So by practicing authenticity and by practicing honesty, you reinforce that way of thinking. So good work. Thanks for that lesson for all of us.
Thank you. And to clarify, I'm not like a huge drinker.
Sure.
But certainly not to many people's standards, but I didn't help.
Honest, that's all.
But anyways, but the judgment thing, I grew up with it. It's how generationally we separate ourselves from others. And the tool that I use quite often is when I find myself putting up barriers to people, is that I know in my heart of hearts that there's more that I have in common with anybody that I am judging than that I don't have in common with them. And so a trigger for me often was somebody who was homeless, for instance.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not a trigger for me anymore, but it has been. And when it is, because sometimes it really smells when people have been living on the street for a while, but is to look at them and just say that I am that person. I am those habits. I am those attributes that I am finding distasteful right now.
Yeah.
Because that reflection of me is not one I'm liking.
Right.
And so how can I find the love there? So those are the tools that I use for that.
That's a beautiful tool. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Right. So, Kristin, do you still want to be next? Or did she take your answer?
Hang on.
I got it.
Yeah, I'll say something. Lisa, that's incredible. You're incredible. So, yes, I've also been drinking more than I ever have in my life, which isn't a lot, but because I did grow up Mormon. But that's an incredible tool, like you were saying about judging. And I want to add something that I do, or I found that I do to that. I didn't realize that I was a non-judgmental person until a few people started telling me this. About 10 years ago or so, I would just get people saying, thank you so much. I can't believe I told you my whole story and you didn't judge me. And I was like, I didn't know I don't know. It just was the way I was. But I've kind of paid attention to that, and something that I've learned that I found that I do is, and you guys are probably all a lot like this. We're probably those type of people that other people just start spilling their stories to. You know, I think a lot of us in this type of group are.
Yeah. And
I found that when somebody tells me their story, for the most part, I just believe them. I just believe them. You know, for some reason they pick me and they're bearing their soul. And I have no idea. I haven't lived their life. I haven't had their experiences, and some of their experiences are cooler than mine and some are really terrible, you know? And so I just believe them because, you know, there's no reason not to. They're obviously telling me their truth, and maybe they're lying, but who am I to judge, right?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. So I am going to use that tool as well, Lisa. So thank you for sharing that. You know, like, what is it that, you know, about me and you know, we're the same. And then one other thing too, you kind of got into where you were talking about yourself that I think we all tend to do. And it's a little self-loathing that we go through. And I was in my group with Karen Swain a few weeks ago, and she kind of dialed in to her mob, the people that she are, you know, her group that she's connected to. And she had this incredible insight that I've just been carrying around, that, you know, here we are in this third dimensional world, and we're these incredible beings of light. And, you know, we are like, yeah, I'm going to go down and I'm going to take on these challenges and I'm going to do these things and I'm going to live in this body and have all these experiences. And then it's this really dense, heavy, smelly sometimes world that's challenging, everything we have to clean and wash and prepare. And like, so we kind of are like, we're made of light, and we're these incredible light beings that can just create, and all of a sudden we're kind of in this heavy, dense world and body. And I think we kind of, you know, she kind of got this thing that like, we just don't like it. So we're always like, man, this kind of sucks, you know, like, I can't just like snap my fingers and be on the other side of the world. I have to like work and pay for a plane ticket and pack and stress and, you know, like just little things just that aren't easy, that we're just, because we're these beings of light that are just light and love all the time. And here we are experiencing all these heavy things, you know, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. And so we kind of it kind of sucks in a way. So we're always like self-loathing. Is that making sense? I don't put it as well as she did at the time, but I think people in this type of group would understand that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I was just about to add, somebody jumped in and then they left. So Heather, if you want to come back, Heather, we'll add you to the group. We'd love to have you. Okay, so who else wants to answer the question? How is it that we can reduce our judgment of ourselves, of the world? Norman, let's unmute you. You're unmuted. You're up.
The beautiful point is I had enough time to think about some stuff. But,
so Heather, if you want to come back,
we all
back, Heather will. There, okay. I had to mute Heather. Go ahead.
I believe we all judge when you're a human born in here to conditioning. You watch TV, all the characters are judging each other. They're all angry. There's so much drama. So your whole life you're doing this. By the time you become an adult, you're just conditioned to judge. You're conditioned to be unhappy from the forces outside of you, stuff like that. And so I'm still working on it myself. If a human was like 100%, you know, judgmental or whatever, I think I'm about 10% now, maybe 5%, but I still see it come up. But the key is I'm mindful of it. I see it. And I was like, got to work on that. And I immediately work on it, transmuting it and all that stuff. And this is the beautiful thing I learned that might help here with mindfulness. We all want to be a loving being, right? We're all spiritual. We're all on the path. So we all want to be loving, right? What does loving mean? Unconditional, right? So every time you catch yourself judging someone, this is your border. It's literally the universe reflecting the borders of where you love unconditionally. You're saying, I love conditionally this much, but when you get to like the arm stretched out, no, I cannot love that person. That's just nothing. like one of the things for me was like around here when I see people with dogs and dog poop everywhere. It never made sense to me. They don't clean up after their dogs. They just don't, right? And I used to literally get emotional and apply a negative label. But what that does, it made me see more dog poop because that's what I was focusing on.
Right.
And so I learned that why is it, I'm this guy, I've studied a lot. Why am I being affected by something? And it's just a simple stuff to get me. It's like someone is just being an idiot or whatever. It doesn't affect me. But little tiny stuff that I don't see coming, like dog poop, throws me off, right? And so I realized that what it is was I've met the edge of my learning how to love. And so I still had more to do, is show me where I have to do. And that's the only reason it's there, by the way, people. Every time something comes into your life that you judge, you don't like, it's just your higher self, your guide showing you the limits, the borders of your love. And they're saying, reach out, expand. And the way you expand is by surrendering to it, loving it. I love it. I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to learn. And then you break the condition that you had all them years to judge stuff. Right now, the key is to be mindful that you're doing it. Because if you're not mindful you're doing it, you're just going to keep doing it. And then surrender to it. The surrender, I accept. Don't entertain those negative thoughts and all that stuff.
Beautiful. Yeah, because judgment and acceptance are opposites. So to move away from judgment, you move into acceptance, exactly. Right? And if you are in judgment or you are even in desire is another opposite of acceptance. If you are in judgment or you are in desire, then you are saying to the universe, not good enough.
So it's not about them. Remember, it's never about the other person because there is no other person. It's just a reflection of what you are inside.
Exactly.
And it's only there to show you where you limit your love. So it's not about them. So every time you see yourself saying, oh, that person, that thing, say to yourself, man, I'm lost again. I'm asleep again. It's about me. What's it showing about me? Oh, it's showing me the limits of my love. So it's always about you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Norman. Okay, so we have a new guest here. We have Heather, and hopefully you saw my message, Heather, about turning off. Okay, great. So we're going to unmute you, and we would love it if you were to, I can't. Oh, you have to unmute yourself. And I would love it if you would introduce yourself and maybe tell us an awakening story that you experienced. Oh, go ahead. Oh, you're really quiet. A little, but barely enough. So you might, it might have picked up the wrong microphone. That happens sometimes. So you might have to play around with the settings to see if you can get that. So while you do that, we're going to go ahead and mute you again. And we're going to go, who else wants to respond to the judgment question? David, please. I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Unmuting you. Yeah, you're unmuted.
Okay. I loved what everybody has said so far. And I definitely agree. It's when you love all things, the people or the forces that are dark in this world, unconditionally, including the dark aspects of yourself, then you do release the judgment. But there's more to it too. The path of raising your vibration, I'm not sure who's heard of shadow work or the inner work where you go into the Akashic and you release your past lives, but you really see that your karmic points when you go there. The karmic points are the negative emotions that you have to release in your past of all these incarnations, that the negative energies that lingers in your energy fields throughout all these incarnations. And the more you release your past, the more you release these negative emotions out of your energy and can embody more light and raise in your vibration. But I mean, I can tell you in the past lives that I've been releasing and seeing myself, it's been gruesome. And a lot of the times we're put into these situations where it's kill or be killed in battles and stuff like that. But there's other times where people, or including myself, are just narcissistic. And the interesting thing is when you do release these negative emotions out, it gives you a perspective of that 0 point, that perspective of non-judgment. and that perspective of unconditional love at a whole nother level. Just because you're at this amazing light worker in this lifetime, there's other lifetimes that are lingering, where we weren't great, but it's all about experience. We wanted to experience what's not love. And in raising the vibrations over the course of 2020, one of the things I noticed was happening was I started becoming more of an observer instead of a judger. So people would be coming to me, and then they would start dumping all their problems and this and that, and I was observing them. So instead of judging it and diving into it, or judging this person because they're projecting that it's this fault or their fault or his fault or her fault, and instead of falling into that trap of drama, I was taking it from a 0 point, non-judgmental, and staying away from it, keeping my vibration high. And what I noticed was these people that were in that are trying to draw that energy out of you, now they don't get it, and then all of a sudden you lose a few friends in the process. It's really interesting. You start noticing that there's certain people out there that are very energy dependent, so they'll create all this drama to try to suck you in to drain your energy, but in the end, when you come from a 0 point and a non-judgmental point, because you realize you've been the darkest of the dark and the lightest of the light, and we're here now in this time of ascension, that it's a time, it's a time of, it's a time of not judging yourself, but going through yourself and seeing yourself for your light, for your dark, coming to peace, getting into balance with it all, and then it's unconditional love, like Norman said, for everybody.
Absolutely. Wonderful. And I just want to throw out there, if
after all that shadow work, it's really put things in perspective.
Oh, cool. I also want to throw out there, Karen Swain was in our waiting room for a second. She probably didn't realize that she was in a waiting room and thought that there was something wrong. So in case she's watching, Karen, try reconnecting. We'll add you to the group. Yeah, Kristin's very excited about that. Okay, so Leonard, did you have something you wanted to say about judgment before I go?
No, I just remember the ancient Hindu proverb, like there are hundreds of paths up the mountain. The only one wasting his or her time is the one telling the other people that their path is wrong. To me, it's like there's infinite path going home. Like nobody, like, it's easy to judge when I'm guilty of it. After getting out of the Catholic religion paradigm, I felt so superior. I felt I'm such a star seed and you're such a sleeper sheeple. I was so guilty of that. And I realized I created another religion out of it. And that was one of the most difficult rabbit hole to get out of. Because some people don't go through that dark night of the soul. Some people just awaken because life awakening happens through them. So there's no room for judgment for me to do because life is in charge. So I get that's my takeaway in 2020. Everything happened, and then to make you believe that the only certain thing in this life is the ineffable, the formless presence, the one that when we say we cannot explain it, because if you can explain it, that's not really it.
All right. Yeah. Samadhi you're talking about. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. So Karen, I see you in the waiting room. I definitely want to try Heather again, though. Did you get your volume figured out?
I switched it.
Yes, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So Heather, please introduce yourself and maybe tell us your favorite awakening story that you've experienced personally.
Well, my name is Heather Riney, and I have always been awakening, I feel, but there was some key things that really launched me, because when I was younger, I would just hear these things and I would just go, I don't know why. I know that that's not right, but I just know that's not right. Like the stuff that we hear a lot, like you're going to go to hell, stuff like that. And I was just like, really, that doesn't sound right to me. And that was, when I was a child, that was a big part of it. That's what parents used on their children. And then in my early 20s, I did have a near-death experience. And I was spoken to, and the beings that were speaking to me were saying, this body is the only connection you have to this earth. You have to get it up and get it help. If this body dies, you lose your connection, and you cannot lose your connection. You are not done. You have much more to do. And then they told me that there was a boy that was going to need me at some point in my life, and I didn't know when. And I was also told I couldn't have children, so that didn't even cross my mind. And at 34, I had a son, and so that's my boy. So since then, I knew that there was this connection, that we were being spoken to, that these bodies were just a connection for us to ground us here on earth. Because they spoke about it like it wasn't it, like get that up and get it help, because it has to, that's your connection. So then I started channeling about maybe 3 years ago. I started doing regular meditation to get out of pain, chronic pain. Mm-hmm. And with that, I just started bringing in beings and started channeling them. I've been voice channeling for about a year. And I do past life regression. And Xane, I've seen you on the Quantum Healers.
Oh, great. Yay. Okay, fun. I'm so glad you joined us.
Yes, which I absolutely love. And so I'm just happy to be around like-minded people, and to be able to have these discussions that are hard to have with, other people sometimes.
Right. Okay, so before we jump over to Karen, did you want to respond to the judgment question? The question was...
Okay,
you already know it? Okay.
Actually, I was really excited when you brought that question up, because I've been getting a lot of downloads, like in the past week and a half maybe, and they're in the form of teaching. I have a new collective I'm working with, and it's teaching. And one of the things that they have been working with me really within the past couple of days is judgment. And so, and what they keep on showing me is the way I look at somebody like my son and the feeling I have. And then you embody that feeling. They're like, really focus on this feeling. Then you look at him and they said, now turn and look at yourself. And what is the feeling you get then? Feel that shift in your energy. Feel that shift. What do you see? And I'm like, ooh, yeah, not as loving. And so then the next day it was, okay, that we did that yesterday. Now, again, envision this person. It can be a guru. It can be anybody that you hold a lot of respect for, that you honor. Look at them and really feel in all of your being how you feel. Now look at the homeless person on the street, or somebody who's caused you a lot of pain. Can you look at them in the same light? Can you really? And it's really deep. It's really something that you have to go into and really feel what your body does and what your energy does. And I can honestly say my energy changes with everybody I look at. And it's not something I'm proud to say, but
oh, it's beautiful. You should say the opposite, that is your gift, that you get to tap into all of these people, and it's beautiful, fantastic. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay. Karen's next. You're muted, so I might have muted you. Let me see. Oh, you got it. All right. Hi, Karen. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Hello. Happy New Era to everybody. I see you guys have been, I just saw your email now. I see you guys have been yakking for about an hour online.
Yeah.
What time is it for you all over there?
Well, okay. So it's 10 o'clock my time, Eastern time. It turned midnight. So Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Era.
And then, Central time, it's 11. 10. I'm in 10. I'm in Mountain, and then Pacific is. We have We have Canadians, and we have all U.S. Oh no, we have Leonard is in the Philippines, right?
Yes.
What time is it in the Philippines?
It's 1 p.m. of January 1st.
Oh, Happy New Era.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And you're in Australia, Karen. What time is it there?
It's 4 p.m. on the first day of 2021. I'm sort of at the end of my day. I've been working and I've had the best day.
Excellent. Okay, well, so what we want you to do is we want you to quickly introduce yourself and maybe tell your favorite awakening story that you experienced. And then you can go ahead and answer the judgment question if you would like to.
Oh, hello, I'm Karen Swain. Kristin knows me. Teacher, New World teacher, supporting, accentuating, accelerating the New World teachers. I don't know. What's my elevator pitch? I'm not in elevator mode, but can I share a story that I did today? It's not so much an awakening story, but it's a profound thing that happened with me today. Can I share that instead?
Yeah, why not? No, you can't do that. There are very specific rules here in 2021, and you're not allowed to go outside of those.
Tell me about it. We've got all the lockdowns. We've got all the lockdowns happening in Sydney again. Well, okay. So Kristin and I have been chatting about, being nicer to our bodies and losing some weight, haven't we? Right. So, so anyway, I thought I kind of made a commitment to myself to be kinder to my body. So I did a yoga class this morning. And a yoga class is kind of like torture for me these days because I'm fat and old, right, and stiff. And I haven't moved a lot in the last probably 10 years as much as I used to because I have a very sedentary life. I'm online like you guys, coaching and teaching and having a lovely time. And I have to say I love it. I love doing what we're doing now. But I've kind of ignored my physical body. So I had a conversation. We had a relationship conversation, her and I today, me and my body. Like I spoke to my body like I was speaking to someone I was having a relationship with, an intimate relationship with, because you can't get closer than the body you're wearing. And I think as spiritual people, we forget about these bodies that we're wearing and that they have their own consciousness, that they, like you, are a consciousness. In fact, they're a combination of millions of consciousnesses. If you look at the microbiome and all the different cells that have their own consciousness. So her and I had it out. We had a talk today, and I said to her, please forgive me for not being as loving and as kind to you as I could have been. Oh, Kristin looks like you're about to cry. Please forgive me for ignoring you for all these years because I've been so in my spiritual stuff, like out there in the cosmos like you, Heather, channeling and talking to my guides and having a lovely time. I've kind of ignored her as a being, as a consciousness, and it makes me cry thinking about it. And so I did some stretches, and every pain I felt in my body, I thanked her for showing me where I'm holding resistance and where I'm holding stress in my body. And it was painful. It was a bit of a torture session, this yoga thing I did this morning. But I was just speaking to her as if I would speak to a client or a lover or a different being, and I had the most profound releases in my body and felt a sense of clearness and release and freedom that I haven't felt in years in my body. Just having this conversation with her and asking her for forgiveness. Because the thing is that I studied as a naturopath. I know what to do. I know what to exercise. I know what to eat. And I've kind of ignored that because I've been so doing other things like spiritual stuff, right? And so I said to her, I've got no excuses because I know what to do and I haven't done it. So please forgive me. She was very forgiving, I have to say, really forgiving. But it was really one of the most profound things that's ever happened to me in a long time. I guess that could be a spiritual awakening to the physicality of myself,
Yeah, sure.
like not ignoring that I'm a physical being as well as a spiritual being, and treating her like I would treat, Heather was talking about your son, like you want to love your kids, right? You want their bodies to be healthy. You want to love them. We should sort of do that with this physical form that we're wearing. It has its own consciousness. Obviously, its consciousness and our consciousness work together, and we're dovetailing with each other. But yeah, so that was my day, and I have to say, I feel so alive.
It's funny too, because you weren't here at the very beginning, but we actually introduced the show, whatever this is, the party, with a 5-minute countdown that included all kinds of physical things that people can do that are amazing. And so I introduced the show, or whatever this is, as saying like, hey, sometimes we get so focused on the metaphysics that we forget about the physics.
Oh,
so
wow.
that works out really well that you brought that in, and without even saying it. How synchronistic.
Wow. How synchronistic. Here's the thing, because I have, they say that the road to hell is filled with good intention. So for years I've had good intention to do more exercise, to eat healthier, to look after her better, and I haven't, and so I said to her, please forgive me, but I also said to the angels, please help me fulfill my commitment to her this year, to loving her and nurturing her and stretching her and walking her, please help me love her more this year and focus more on this vehicle that I'm traveling in this physical world. Anyway, so it makes me cry, because I can't tell you the release I felt. Like I was just lying on the floor, with my legs spread open, feeling pain of my tight muscles stretching, and just saying thank you, and just thanking the pain, like thank you for showing me where I'm holding tension and resistance. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see where you're at next year this time.
Well, hopefully a lot thinner and healthier than I am now, right, Kristin? Kristin and I have been talking about this. We've been saying we're going to get better. The road to hell is full with good intention. So, to intend something and to actually do it takes commitment. So I really ask the angels to help me fulfill that commitment this year. Yeah.
Very good. All right, Karen. So before I want to jump in. Let's see. We've got a new person in the waiting rooms, Cecile or Cecil. I actually never figured out how to say your name. I'm sorry.
Sounds like Cecil. Like Cecil.
Here, I'm just going to throw her in real quick so we can see her and we can read her name. Hi, Cecile or Cecil. And then Miriam is also here, and she's going to be actually doing a performance for us, and I'm super excited about that. So how I'm thinking about doing this now is I still want to finish up the question, the judgment question. So I would love for, if you want, Karen, do you want to go ahead and give your thoughts on how is it that we in 2021 can shift from judging all the time and being open to things as they are?
I think somebody's already said it. I think maybe David or Leonard said it before, or maybe it was Norman, that, to see the other as self, and that what judgment we have, be it good or bad, is actually what we believe about ourselves. And when we revere someone, when we say, oh my God, you're amazing, you're so talented, you're so amazing, it's actually the potential that lives within us. So to recognize that what I'm seeing in you is either my potential, or when you're seeing someone that is driving you crazy and you hate them, is actually seeing where you're blocked in yourself. So there is no other. There's only one of us in the room. So judgment of the other is showing you who you are, basically, who you are. And to tell you the truth, when I was in relationship with husband number one and husband number two, I remember, thinking this. I had a lot of judgment on husband number two. Like, he had this real failure complex. And I got really real with myself, because I didn't want to believe that I felt like a failure. But I was seeing it so much in him where he felt like a failure, that I had to really get real with myself and ask myself, where is it that I really feel like a failure? And it's hard to do. It's really hard to do. And I had to sort of say, if I'm seeing it in him, I'm holding that, and really get real with myself. And then when you accept that what you're hating in another or judging in another is actually what you're holding in yourself, that's when you can change it, and only when you can change it. You cannot transform something you can't see. So judgment is all too easy to say, they're like that, but that's not who I am. Then you can't transform it in yourself or another. Yeah, so that's my stuff about judgment.
Nice. Very good. Thank you, Karen. Okay, I would like to go ahead and allow, and let's see, Cecil or Cecile, which is it?
Cecile.
Cecile, I would love it if you would introduce yourself to everyone. We got a chance to talk just the other day, so it's wonderful to see you again, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I actually, hi. I actually had an interesting experience tonight. I've been doing a lot of work on myself, and so this isn't answering your question, but I don't really have community to share this with, so I'm going to share it with you. I was on my computer tonight, and all of a sudden, I started getting a channeled message from Arcturians, and it was like a mechanical sounding message, but
Okay.
It came from my computer, and I checked to make sure. My gosh, do I have a tab open to something that is going, that's possibly reading that? And I had nothing. Open. And so I got this really lovely channeled message from Arcturians tonight.
Beautiful. And was there anything special that you want to share with us from that message?
They were talking about how on planet Earth we're using science that is planetary based, but that they talked about the beings on the Andromedans, and that they've watched them, and they use some kind of a toning kind of energy every day. They group together and they do some kind of toning to send some intention and energy to their community, like for the day. They do it all the time. And that let's see. Sorry, there's some other beings, and I'm not getting, the name is not popping up right now, but that they also use more planetary type of more advanced technology than we have, and that they were looking for beings to bring in more use of light technology on planet Earth. And so they were looking for people to bring that forth. And so they said they'd be in touch again.
Very good. That's awesome. And congratulations for receiving that message, Cecil.
Well,
great.
you know something, it's pretty extraordinary, because I still have these other, I call them parasites, hanging around, and they haven't left. And so I'm just amazed that anything could even be coming into me while they are still here. And so I'm working on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Just open your mind to that. Don't create a restriction that isn't there by thinking that they're blocking when they're actually not. And Cecil is going to be joining my class next week. So I'm super excited to have her, and we're going to make some great progress, I'm sure.
Thank you. And it's Cecile.
Oh gosh, Cecile. Sorry, Cecile. I'll have it down by 7 weeks of my class. I'll have it down by then, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so what I want to do now is, one of the things I'm seeing is that Miriam is having a lot of trouble. They keep getting disconnected, so I'm a little worried that their incredible musical performance is going to get interrupted. Can you speak to us? Can we hear you?
Yes, do you hear me now?
Yes. It's a little quiet, but we can hear you.
Yes.
Are you having a connection issue?
Yes, Yeah, we always being kicked out and have to restart again. So I don't know why. We have good internet connection here. Maybe it's too full. The room is too full.
No, nope. Well, no, we have an empty spot, but they're gone again. So I don't know if that's going to work out so well. We're going to have to see what happens with that. But they are an incredible sound. They create an incredible sound, and I would love for everybody to hear them. So I hope they get that figured out. But before we go on to our next question, I still have to answer my thoughts on the judgment. And what I think is really interesting about judgment is that we got to ask ourselves, where does judgment come from? Does it come from source? Does it come from our higher selves? So does it come from the angels? Does it come from the ascended masters? Does it come from the collectives? No, there's only one place it comes from. These little three-dimensional brains. These three-dimensional brains are built to survive. That's their whole purpose. We don't have sharp claws. We don't have tough armor. We can't survive. We're squishy. We're soft. We're marshmallows. Like any predator, just like zoop, we're gone. So the only thing we have to our advantage, especially our primitive humans, was these brains. And so these brains were so advanced and so clever that they figured out that water runs downhill. They figured out what time of the day the saber-toothed tigers are going to be drinking at the river. So because of all this work that our brains are doing, all of the emotions come into play, all of the survival characteristics come into play. So judgment is actually a survival characteristic. It doesn't feel like it maybe at first, but it doesn't take long to go, well, wait a minute. Yeah, of course it is, because I've got to judge myself. Did I provoke the saber-toothed tiger and it ate half the camp? Did my friend in the camp, did he get all rootin' and rowdy and then attract the predators there? Did he do something dumb and now somebody's got an injury and they're probably not going to survive from it? I've got to be able to go, no, you don't freaking do that, because our survival depends on it. And so we come about it naturally. So the first thing that we need to do is to stop worrying about judging, right? Many people go, oh gosh, I'm always in judgment. Why am I always in judgment? Because it comes naturally to you. So the first thing to do is just relax for a second. You're going to get it. And that's the other thing that I tell people all the time. You are eventually going to get to wherever you want to get to. Yes, you should be happy with the way you are right now, of course. But always know that if you're struggling with something crazy big right now, that you know that you are going down the right path, you are eventually going to get to the place where it's going to be perfect. You're going to know so much more. You're going to get over all of these things, or the majority of them. So that means you don't have to stress yourself out for that. You don't have to be impatient. You don't have to be frustrated. You can just allow it to happen. And when you know that you're eventually going to get there, then you relax. Then you get there sooner. Why do you get there sooner? Because you're no longer in resistance, right? Okay, so now we've got all that figured out. We know that we are eventually going to be less judging. And we can stop beating ourselves up for being judging in the first place, because we come about it naturally. So, of course, just like everybody else says, the rest of it is the fact that we are all the same. We are all source. And we have intentionally forgotten that we were source so that we could come into this world and experience all of these emotions. I call them the terrestrial emotions because they're very earth-based. They're very human-based. So we are experiencing them on purpose. And that's kind of weird. A lot of times we go, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to feel fear. I don't want to feel upset. I don't want to feel anger. I don't want to feel frustration. I don't want to feel shame. Why would I want that? But it's all part of the experience. It's all part of the process. So again, you can stop beating yourself up over feeling these negative things because you came into it thinking, well, all I can do is unconditionally love as a higher self, as source. That's all I can do. There are no other emotions available to me because I am infinite and I cannot die. So I'm going to go ahead and embrace all the experiences that I'm having. There is no reason not to. And so when we look at everybody else and all the jerks and all the CEOs that are destroying the planet and the factory farmers and the people who abuse, they're all us. And we chose to be all of them because it's different than just living in unconditional love. So we can't necessarily understand why would we want to do that? Doesn't totally make sense to us because we're empaths, right? So we're tuning in to the negative emotions of others. Why would I ever want someone to suffer? But because when you are source, when you are your higher self, you cannot access suffering. You cannot access most of the emotions that we can have here. So, well, let's try it. And let's try everything. Let's not just try some of it. Let's try every single possibility that is available to us because we want to experience as much as possible. Why else would you be an empath? As somebody who comes into the world to experience emotions, it's a bonus. Not only do you get to experience your emotions, but you get to experience everybody's emotions. So you get even more than you thought you were going to get. So again, it's all about loving everything exactly as it is. My last comment, if I had for you a doorway and I opened up the door and I said, all you got to do is step through that door and you move into the fifth dimension, would you step in it? I think most people would say, F yeah, get me through that door. I'm ready. I'm done with this 3D crap. Well, guess what would happen? You'd step through the door and you'd still be in the 3D. Darn it. Wait a minute. You lied, Xane. What are you saying? No, actually, the only way to get to the fifth dimension is to look through the door and go, I don't need to go in there. Everything that I am experiencing, everything is perfect exactly as it is. If I went through that door, I'd be cheating. I want to experience this crazy 3D world that I signed up for. And, I imagined this and I honestly said to myself, I wouldn't want to go through. I am here for this reason. I am here to enjoy the physical world exactly as it is. Oh, and guess what happens? As soon as you say, oh, what were we talking about earlier? Paradox. As soon as you say, no, I don't want to go to the 5D. I want to be here in the 3D. You're in a 5D consciousness state. So too bad you got there anyway. So that's the way that I look at judgment. There is nothing to judge. Everything is absolutely perfect. And you signed up for all of it. All right.
Beautifully said, darling one.
Thank you. It is wonderful. Okay.
Can I share a story?
Yeah, please.
It's not one of my stories. It's one of Garnet's stories. Does everyone know who Garnet Schulhauser is? I yak about him all the time. Kristin does. Anyway, so an incredible dude that flies around the universe with his spirit guide, experiencing more things than you can even imagine. Anyway, so he was speaking to a spirit on the other side, in the spirit side, he calls it, who had been a woman who had lost her family in a car accident. She'd become very angry and resentful, and then the anger and resentfulness sort of led her into spirituality and meditation, and she joined an ashram and she started meditating. I think she went to India. Anyway, so she had let go of so much of the resentment and hatred, and she had meditated for so many years that she was just blissing out as a being of love and light, that she found that when she meditated one afternoon, she opened her eyes and she was in a different world. She wasn't in the world she left behind, and she had ascended to the new earth. And then she lived her life out in this other realm. I don't know how it works. I really don't know how it works, but it wasn't where we are. Obviously, it was in another time, in another dimension. I don't know if her body died in this realm. I don't know how it works, but she lived her life out in this other realm, and then she died in that realm and became a spirit. So Garnet said, and she was thinking about reincarnating, are you going to reincarnate into the new earth, the next time round? And she said, no. And he said, well, why not? And she said, Well, I realized that through everything I learned in that life on 3D Earth, all the pain I went through and the forgiveness that I went through and the ascension that I went through to reach that stage of love and light, I need to teach that to others. And so I'm going to reincarnate back into the 3D Earth to teach. And I just thought, that's what we're all doing here, right? I just thought that was so beautiful. When she had that opportunity, like you said, Xane, to go into she said, no, that's not where I'm needed. Now that I've gained all this knowledge, I'm going to go back and teach. Yeah. Right. So I've often thought about what you said, if the doorway to the 5D entered, was there, would I enter? And I'm like, I think I'm needed here. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really amazing to honestly say, no, I don't want to go through that door. I mean, because wow, it does not feel like that's the way that you should answer that question. Yeah. But man, when you really truly say that, you are free.
Yeah.
You are so free.
Totally.
It's really beautiful. And it reminds me a little bit like, okay, so back a minute ago, I was talking about, why would we sign up for all this misery, right? And there's this great, and everybody will probably know the book, or someone will know the book and the lady who wrote it, because I always forget. She wrote a near-death experience book, and she was in a car accident, and her spirit guides or whatever came to her and said, hey, do you want to return to being a human, or do you want to just come on with us? And she's like, no, I think I want to go back. I think I've got some more stuff to do. And they're like, okay. So here's what's going to happen. Like, you've been injured. So you've got a whole bunch of injuries that we have to decide what your injuries are going to be. And it's almost like they got out a book and they're like paging through the pages and looking at like, oh, this one would be hilarious. Oh my gosh, this one, I wouldn't even have a face. We should do that one. That'd be great. And they're just laughing hysterically.
You're talking about Natalie Sudman.
Okay, good. Yes. At how horrible this would be. But they think it's funny because they're looking at it from a very different perspective. They're looking at it from an infinite perspective. And then when we come into these beings, we still kind of feel infinite, but we're not. And so now we have to go for the rest of our lives with this misery that we've chosen. And that's what she said in her book, I think. She said, oh my God, why did I pick that? Like, that was the dumbest thing I could have done. I really wish I hadn't done it. Because now she has this new perspective of really knowing what it feels like to suffer. Whereas as our infinite selves, we can't know that. Yeah. So it's really amazing when we look at it in that way, and we can, keep that in mind in everyday life when we can go, I wanted to experience this. I've got a really good friend who is going through a difficult time right now. And she is like, I'm tired of being miserable. I want to have a better life. And I said, okay, well, today's a bad day, right? Enjoy it. Feel it exactly as it is. Dive in and feel and know what that experience feels like. Think about, how does it make you feel physiologically? Is there a tightness in your chest? Is there a weight on your shoulders? Is there, what is it that you're exactly feeling? And what's amazing, in many cases, as you dive in, it's slippery. You're like, oh, right. It's this feeling right here. It's this weight on my shoulders. Well, okay, that's gone. Okay, well, what else am I feeling? What else am I feeling? And you can almost be disappointed. Like, oh man, it went away. Like, I was trying to figure out what it felt like. So those are the types of things. That's another one of those paradoxes that I love so much. Okay, so Karen and I will just keep talking. So I need a new question here, because I know how this goes.
Can I share a story?
Yes.
Yeah. What you just said. When you're a kid and you feel like something really terrible is happening. So I had these neighbors, and I felt like the girl next door was, I think, the only girl on the street. Back in those days when the whole street was full of kids and everybody would just go to the playground together. We were the two youngest. And shame on them. They were going away for the day, and I wasn't going to have her. And I remember just being like, oh, Floppy McFloppyson, and just like, this is the worst thing in the world. And then I like spontaneously started singing about how sad I was. Like, I was fully in the moment of like total upsetness. And And in that, there's a little bit of a lesson, right, of embracing the sadness, because then I was like, okay, I feel better now. And I went and did whatever I did with the rest of my day. But that is not how I've approached, my everyday, much like most of us probably. But, there is value in expressing the gunk that comes up, whatever it might be, whether it's anger or sadness or what have you, because if we're not allowing of that and we're in judgment of it, I feel like it just sticks us deeper in the mud of it. And so, yeah, I really like that you're saying that, Xane, to try to find the enjoyment of those moments where we're learning.
Right, because they're all just experiences. Yeah. So they're all signals that are being sent to your brain or that your brain is interpreting. You experience pain because a signal is sent to your brain and your brain says, "Youch, I don't like that." Why? It's for survival, right? So you don't stick your hand in the fire, so you don't cut your finger off. It's very important that we receive those signals. But we can also receive pleasure signals, right? You're getting a massage. Oh, that feels so good. I feel, throughout my whole body, right? So what if there was some sort of malfunction and that every negative physiological feeling that you had was actually immensely pleasurable? You would then, and it seems possible for something like that to happen, right? Because all we are these electrical, water-based creatures. So there's all kinds of weird malfunctions that we can have here. And so why couldn't it be that there would be a malfunction that would create pleasure out of any possible experience? And if that is possible, then now this whole idea of good and bad is just thrown out the window because it's just electrical signals at that point. So have you got something to say there, Karen?
I'm thinking I had these thoughts, it was almost 30 years ago now, about childbirth.
Yeah.
Childbirth is one of the most painful things you can go through. And I used to think, why? If there's just electrical signals, if it's just your body, contracting to, spit out a baby, why does it have to be so painful? Why can't it be pleasurable? Anyway, 30 years ago, I did not experience the pleasure. Right. But, won't it be wonderful when we do understand that, and childbirth will be a really pleasurable thing instead of the torture that so many women go through. Yeah.
Right. So, So again, if we can realize that everything we're experiencing is just electrical signals, then we can also say that maybe we can look at those things differently. Maybe we can kind of be okay with them to some degree and know that you're, like I said before, you're eventually going to get through whatever it is. Everything is temporary here. Everything. You could be depressed your entire life, but is that infinite? No, because you're eventually going to die, and that depression is gone. So you are here maybe to experience depression your entire life, but your entire life is nothing. It's a blip. And then you go back to being an infinite being, and you can go on and have a different, entirely different life. Maybe one that's filled with pleasure the next time, but you get to experience it all.
Beautiful.
All right. So one thing that I kind of like talking about a little bit is, I actually like this hearing from others more instead of me always talking about it. Your best way of manifesting. What is your method for manifesting? And then do you have any examples where something freaking amazing happened that you're just like, I cannot believe that this crazy thing that I manifested actually came to be? Who has some stories about that? Raise your hand when you want to throw one out there. Okay, Leonard, yes. Yeah, I saw you smiling and laughing on that one, so let's hear it.
No, when it comes to manifesting, I remember the saying, needing nothing attracts everything. Like when you're not chasing anything, it effortlessly comes to you. I think it's from Conversations with God, where from Neil Donald Walsh, when you say I want, you immediately affirm that you haven't gotten it yet, that it's not yet there. But from the infinite beingness that you are already everything around you. So, like, for example, this is from my personal experience. Every time I chase something, the next thought is, what's next? So what's in here? Like, I'm not satisfied. I want the next experience. But when I'm in my relaxed mode, when I didn't feel like I needed it, like just last month, I received like 3 job offers without me looking for a job. Like, my LinkedIn profile was just there, my Fiverr profile was just there, and nobody's contacting me. So, and then I was thinking, like, maybe it's the new energy of the earth, that manifesting is rapid. But I think in general, even if we're in the old paradigm, or if we're in the new era, if you're just relaxed in your nothingness, in your empty cup, it will be filled no matter what happens.
Right. Yeah. And I love what you said there too, because it's like, when does the Super Bowl winning team stand on the podium and they go, yeah, we did it. And then they go, do you want to get one next year? Or, you want to go for it next year? When has they ever said, nope, we're done. We don't need to do this anymore. We're good. We're just going to go on home, and we're all retiring. The whole team's retiring. Somebody else can go try to. No, we never do that. Now nope, got to do it again. Got to do it again. The endless treadmill is represented by our sports figures and by our CEOs and by everybody in this society. We are constantly trying to get to the next thing instead of being satisfied with where you are. Wanting is, like you said, a perfect example of that. It is the opposite of acceptance. It is, we are saying to the universe, not good enough. I don't have anything that I really want. And so you remain in that place. Wonderful, beautiful. Karen, you're next.
Can I share something? I haven't
Please.
shared this with anyone yet because it happened today. So
I've had such things happen today. This is quite the day.
It's been a good day. It's like we're 4:41 here in Sydney, so we're at the end of the first day of 2021. So I had a client today that just signed up to my 12-week program, right? And we had a couple of conversations before today about various things. Anyway, one thing she said to me was her mother was really not into all this woo-woo meditation stuff. And we did a couple of processes with, just speaking to her family psychically. Anyway, so she comes online today and she paid for me for the program in full. It's a bit of a financial commitment, but she's gone back into the corporate world, and she's getting paid good money. But she said that she got for Christmas from her mother a meditation candle because she started meditating since she started my course, right? And a check that covered the exact amount of my 12-week program. And it, just like Leonard said, she wasn't even asking for it. So she'd made a commitment to herself and a financial commitment to me. And the money came back to her with a meditation candle completely. So the whole 12 weeks has been gifted to her. And I just loved that. I just thought that was so cool from her mother, who doesn't think that any of this spiritual stuff is worth even talking about. You know what I mean? She's a really kind of corporate, logical lady. Yeah, I just like miracles can happen when you, and she's come, my client has just come so far in just a couple of sessions. She's just aligned that energy, and just like Leonard said, just feeling happy about her life and more peaceful and more empowered and excited about the future. And all the money came back. I just loved that. It's just
and
so cool.
Really, a lot of times we look at money as a scarcity experience. So we go, I don't like to, somebody says, I don't like to charge for my services that much because I'm taking money from people, or or they don't have enough, or whatever like that. But that's because you're observing money as not an unlimited energy resource. Right. It is the same unlimited energy resource that exists at every level of every possible thing.
Right.
So
exactly.
When we put ourselves into the mindset that I will receive, when I ask somebody else for money, they will receive that money outside of all of this. I'm not taking from their reserves. I'm pulling from the unlimited energy resources of the universe. And so it's going to slide through them and then slide over to the person who's asking for the money. So you don't have to look at that so unhappily.
I know. And, you know, this speaks to what you do and what I do too, Xane. I was having another conversation with a woman I met recently who's a coach. And I said that I could probably help her with a few sessions, like move forward with her work in the world. She said, well, how much do you charge? And I told her, and then she's kind of like, well, I've got some financial commitments. So she's thinking about it. And I'm thinking to herself, God, you know, you don't understand that when you align your energy with what you think you want, which is ultimately to feel good and feel empowered and feel like you're making a difference and feel like you're on purpose, you know, money just becomes a non-issue. Right. But yet we still go into, can I afford it? Can I afford it? And I often think, you know, doing your work, Xane, and doing my work, you can't afford not to. You know, don't let money stop you. Because, you know, having someone help you align energy is so, you know, teach you to how you can do it yourself too. It's such an important thing in this world. It's 444 here in Sydney. I love that. Alignment. All
right. Does anybody else want to talk about manifestation? I'd love to open it up for some others. Yeah, David, let's hear it. Okay.
So I'll unmute myself. Manifestation. I could talk about it for a while, but I have some cool stories for sure. Some of the best successes that I've had with meditation or manifestation is visualizing yourself already in the end point of where you want to be. One of the most amazing stories that I have of this, well, I guess I'll share it.
Hear it.
Back in 2006, I was in this poker tournament, and I got so lucky to get in this poker tournament. I don't know how I won this seat of 10 people to get this ticket for, I think it was like $600. There's like 2,000 players, but I visualized before the tournament started. My screen name was Mighty Max, and I visualized Mighty Max 1, and then. But I kept doing it for 15 minutes. That's all I thought. I was just pushing in this vibration. But then I took it to another level. I saw myself going to the bank and cashing the check and them saying congratulations and all this stuff. So 10 hours go by of the most craziest poker tournament ever. This is back in 2006. I did end up winning it. It was the most amazing thing. And I ended up buying my house with it and all this other stuff. It was really amazing. But I've applied a lot of those same principles in even business applications, and I've been pretty successful at it. But it's like if you can't see yourself at the end too, you can see yourself in moments of success, like maybe middle points, or if you want to become famous writer, and you want to get a publishing deal, seeing yourself signing an agreement, seeing yourself as a top 5 in the New York Times bookseller, and just seeing your name on there, your name, the name of your book that you're starting to write, and you start visualizing this, and visualization goes a long way. But there's the action, there's still, once you do visualize, you still have, I still had to play a poker tournament, sweat it out, go to make all these crazy decisions. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. Is he bluffing? Is he got the hat? Right. Or with the business, it's like you still got to knock on doors, and you still, when you set yourself on that path of that frequency by seeing yourself at the end, so it actually taught me how to plan. So now instead of just not having a plan, I see myself at the end. This is the end result I want for doing this. And then I work my way backwards. And then when I get to the start, to where I'm starting right now, I got this path. Right. Of where I want to go. Well, yeah. And I like, what you were saying, of course, and
everybody says this, I suppose, about manifestation, that you picture the thing as though you already have it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the main reason for that is to remove the blockages where you think the opposite. Oh,
That's
I'm
right.
not good enough. My book will never sell. It'll never be on the top bestseller. It'll never, blah, blah, blah. Like we go into that so easily that this gives us practice at going at changing that it deeply within ourselves so that we can allow for it to happen. Don't you think?
Yeah, and it's in line with what Leonard's saying too, is not like being so attached to like all these things, like these desires, and it's not remove the desire out of there, remove the need out of there, and then just see yourself having it, right? And it will assist in that actually materializing for sure.
Yep, beautiful.
So there's
anybody else want to throw out something on that? Yeah, Heather.
I'm signing off, honey one.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so
you.
much for being here. It was such a pleasure. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We're 10 minutes away. We're 10 minutes away from into 2021 for those in the Central Time Zone. So. Hi, Karen. All right, so we do have another musical guest who's in the waiting room at the moment. So hopefully we can go ahead and like kind of finish up our manifestation conversation, give Maria an opportunity to sing a few songs for us, and then we can come right back. So go ahead, Heather. What you got?
Real quick.
No, you're fine.
Manifested a couple of houses, but it was wonderful the way that they manifested. So it was visualizing everything that I wanted in the house, looking at all of these houses, and then after looking at all of these houses, letting it go and just going, when the perfect house finds me, it'll find me, when it's available. And that's when it came. It didn't come when I was out there actively, like, where's my house? Where's my house? Where's my house? It came when I said, you know what, let's take a trip to Sedona and just go have fun. And then the realtor calls me as we're, an hour away from Sedona. We found your perfect house. And we literally turn around, come back. And so things have happened often for me like that. And it is the moment that you let go and just go, the universe knows what I want. They got my wish list, and I'm going to carry on. And then it comes effortlessly.
Right.
So when you stop efforting, it just flows to you. And I believe so much that that's the key. Mm-hmm. Put your goal out there, envision it, see it in your mind, and then let it go and wait till it turns around and comes and finds you.
Right. It's just like the 5D door, right?
It is.
Yeah. You just go, well, I don't really need that thing. Like, it would be cool. I would like the thing, but I don't have to have that. And then all of a sudden you get it. And it's funny for me. Or do you have another thought on that, Heather?
Oh, no, I'm just totally agreeing with you.
Okay, cool. So I have the HATHORS, this is the Hathor New Year, right? So the HATHORS got frustrated with me. Not frustrated. That doesn't exist in their world. But it was cute because they were like, you're not using us enough. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm using you guys all the time. Like, we're healing lots of people and stuff. And they're like, yeah, that's all good. But you're still not using us enough. I'm like, why? Like, what else do I need to do? I don't understand. And they said, you can ask for anything you want and we'll get it for you. And I was like, what? Really? I mean, but I don't really need anything. It's okay. I don't have to have stuff. And they're like, try it out. Try it right now. Like, okay, fine. So I had a property for sale. You made me think of this, Heather, because you're talking about property. So I had a property for sale. It was right, kind of not the best time to sell it a couple of years ago. And they said, I said, okay, I'm like, oh, okay, you're so smart. Go go ahead, get rid of this property for me then. Sell this property for me, you know, show me. And they're like, you'll have an offer by the weekend. And it had been on the market for a couple of weeks. And I thought, yeah, right. Sure. 2 days later, offer, property sold. So, and they said, you know, you can really ask for anything. We trust what you're asking for is not something, you know, other than what's best for all. So go for it. So it's really interesting to think of it in that way, because we often think of it as, well, I don't know, should I really ask for this, or is that really the right thing? But
well, I think that we're trained to not ask for much.
Right.
That, you know, to think of everybody else that doesn't have, that we should be grateful for what we do have already and not ask. And you know what I think also is we are trained out of dreaming. We get trained out of dreaming big. Yeah. And I am just really starting to learn again that, you know what, you can dream big. It's okay. And everybody needs to just start dreaming big, because that's when stuff comes for them. And I think it was, somebody said one time, I think, you can't be poor enough to make other people rich or something like that. And you can't, something along those lines. Right. Basically, if you go down to their level, it's not going to help anybody. So learn how to dream, learn how to manifest, and then teach everybody else.
Right. Yep. Because there's plenty to go around.
Yes. Exactly.
Lisa, what do you got for us? You're muted.
I keep hitting the microphone instead of like the actual mute button. It's not helpful. So this is twice I've been pinged on this moment of realization that I came to a number of years ago. Is after my second child, I experienced again another period of maternal depression. I forget what the name of that is, but where it's the hormones that are really reducing you into a really depressive state. And we were in this course together, these moms who are all depressed. This is really fun. And they were like asking the moms, what are you guilty for? Like we were talking about guilt and how we were all walking around like these guilt machines. What do you feel bad about? What do you feel like? And so everybody said their thing. And I'm like this was like a mind-blowing question, because like as the other ladies are all answering, I'm like, what am I not guilty for? Like, what am I feel like I'm taking other people's air by breathing.
Oh my gosh.
Was the depth of my unwillingness to receive, and the depth of my unwillingness to feel worthy at that moment. Mm-hmm. And when I get shivers now when I think about it, because it was so long ago in my journey, but necessary for who I am today. And like, I literally felt like I should breathe less so that other people could have more. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, I no longer feel like that. But I also would like for no one to ever feel like that. And I can't say that I'm manifesting abundance unless we're talking about clutter. I can't say that we're really, but I feel that it is coming, you know, like, and I'm allowing it, that I am in preparation for, and clearing my energy, clearing my house, clearing my space and my heart to be able to receive the gifts that I have been literally in resistance to my whole life. And if we are, I feel like it's one of those things, like we're in love or we're in judgment, we are in hate or we're in love, we're receiving or we're resisting. And so that's like that. I just got pinged like 3 times in this conversation, and I felt like I needed to share that little bit. But we can question those moments when our brain is telling us that we shouldn't, that we don't, that we can't.
Mm-hmm.
If the first place you start is with, really, is that actually true? Like, I'm not good enough for all those questions that we keep ourselves contained with. If we can just start with a question of, is that really true? Like, is it, or is that the lie that I'm telling myself? Because those are the bars of our jail.
Mm-hmm. And it's always a lie.
Yeah.
It's always a lie.
Always.
Yep. All right. Well, that was beautiful, Lisa. Thank you for sharing that. And I think I would love to hear Maria. So Maria and I found each other on Facebook. Oh man, it wasn't that long ago, like a couple of months ago. And you know, it's been really fun because she had like 1 or 2 songs that she played for me, and they were amazing. And now she is like pumping out a song a day practically. And it's amazing how good a quality they are. So I'm so excited to have her play some for us. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all you guys in the waiting room, give her the floor for a few minutes, and enjoy. Okay, let's see. How do I do it? Can I do a solo? Yeah, look at that. Wow. Okay, she's still muted. All right. So where's me? Oh man, how am I doing that? I guess I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on a second here. Let's see. How do I? Oh, I see. Here we go. I got to do it one at a time. Okay, fine. We'll do that. Okay, Maria. Sorry about that. Are you all ready?
Yeah.
All right. Which one are you going to play first?
Imagine by John Lennon.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Okay. I'll get out of your way and let you do that.
Okay. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you can try. No hell below us. And above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Yay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, do you want to do another one, or do you want to have us all come back in? I'd like to have you do another one.
I can sing another one.
Yeah.
We were just, one of you was just talking about this that I'm going to sing about. So.
Okay, great. Which one is this one?
The Time Is Now. I wrote it 3 days ago. So it's kind of a New Year's song, but a slightly different one. It's not my normal style, but I like it.
I like it too. It's a really cool one. So good. I'm glad you're going to play it for us. All right, take it away.
Dream big. Are your dreams really illusions? Who do you want to be? That should be all that you see. It's already here. You just grab your dream without fear. The time is now. Bells are ringing. Wake up, it's time to celebrate. The time is now. Let's get going. We can make it there. It's not too late. Ever since I was a child, I always knew that somehow I was right. 'Cause when it's in the middle of the night, turn on the light and everything will be alright. The time is now. Bells are ringing. Wake up, it's time to celebrate. The time is now. Let's get going. We can make it there. It's not too late. Dream big. Dream big. The time is now.
All right. I love that one. That's so good. Okay, so where can people find out more about you? What's the best way?
I guess my YouTube page.
And what's the name of your YouTube page?
Do you want me to put a link in the comments?
Yeah, put a link in the comments. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Another one, or should we come back to you later?
We can come back later.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Let's see. We're going to add some wonderful folks back in here. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. Are we full? We are full. And we have a new one. We have Vesselina. We're just looking at her wall at the moment, but we have a new guest.
Hi guys.
Hi. So, am I saying your name right, Vesselina?
Oh, this is so surreal. Happy New Year. Pardon?
Am I saying your name right, Vesselina?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Thanks.
It's pretty accurate. Well, say it yourself. Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's actually with the pronunciation is right. It's just the accent is different.
Of course, right. But I want to hear you say it. You say it.
Vesselina.
Okay. Yes,
It's
a
just
little bit
different.
different. Yes. And where are you from, Veselina?
I'm in Germany now. I just woke up and I just thought, I probably can join in.
Right,
But it
absolutely.
went pretty fast. I thought there are a lot more people here waiting to be
Yeah.
added.
And what time is it for you in Germany right now?
7 a.m. already.
Okay, okay, cool. All right, so would you like to introduce yourself briefly? And what we've been having people to do is tell maybe one of their favorite awakening stories or something amazing that happened to you that changed your life.
Oh, this is very complex, of course. Yeah, probably it went consciously and unconsciously through all my life, the awakening process, and it started to expand into 2012. And I don't know. I'm not ready now to talk a lot about it.
Okay.
I'm on a
Too
different
early for
stage
it.
now. I don't know. I cannot.
Well, we
I'm
are
just
so happy to
sorry.
have you with us. Thank you for joining us, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you. All the best to you all. Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
So, okay, how about this one? We're going to do a really big switch. We're going to change the topic altogether. Has anybody had a plant medicine experience that had a huge impact on their lives? I saw Leonard already nodding. I think you get to go first, Leonard. What do you got?
Yeah, I just had my first ayahuasca experience the full moon of November.
Okay.
Yeah, and the reason why is because I just felt like I'm being called by it. And then, but before the lockdown happens, I already had my intention for doing psychedelic is to awaken, like to get the vision, to get the mystical experience that other people are talking about. Like that desire to look for an experience that is more beautiful than your experience now. But when I had that experience, I just realized that it's just a tool to show you that you are already perfect as you are. Like yeah, everybody in the participants were talking about. We saw the Arcturians, we saw this one, and then there's a lot of stories around it, and it's beautiful. Everybody's experience from the ayahuasca is beautiful. But when I was just during that time I just saw the golden light behind the darkness, and I just saw like holographic images up the sky because we were outdoors. Basically, the message for me is life is an illusion, and don't take life too seriously the way the dogmas created it as serious as it can be. And then that was the first time like I saw that I was connected to the plants. I was connected to the cat, and I was just looking at people with eye contact without labeling them as people. I just see, the experience of oneness without having to label it. And it was just beautiful. And the shaman said, "Do you want the third sip?" And if the seeker in me would love it. I would have sipped like five sips of ayahuasca, and I said no. After the second one, I said, what else, what message can top that? When ayahuasca told you that life, you are an exact divine expression as you are, and everybody is the same. So what more can I ask for? So, and then I realized so that it's a tool. But if you are just living with gratitude every day, every moment of your life, even washing the dishes can be a mystical experience. That in itself can be as magical as plant medicine.
Right. Yep. Because we are miracles, and we are observing miracles all the time. That's all that's happening constantly all around us. And yeah. So, I was going to tell Oh yeah. So I had a similar kind of ayahuasca experience. It was the only time that I did it with a big group, and there was like a TP, and there were 15, 16 people that all did it at the same time. And that's a pretty incredible experience. But what was really interesting to me was it kicked in. It was very powerful. I knew I was in it for 4 hours or whatever. I knew that that's what it was going to be, or at least I thought so. It got started. I'm seeing all the visuals and everything, and I'm seeing these beings, and they're talking to me. And then all of a sudden, I said, I asked a question, like I often do. Like when I have ayahuasca, I'm talking to my guides. I'm talking to the spirit of ayahuasca. I'm talking to the HATHORS. It's like the HATHORS are like, woo, here he is. Like, we're all high-fiving each other and everything. It's like, oh yeah, he's back. Let's do this. Anyway, I asked some question. I don't even remember what it was. It was some stupid question ultimately, because the answer was essentially, well, your source, so it doesn't matter. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. Okay, well, what else do you have for me? And they were like, that's it, your source, we're done. And 10 minutes in, it's over. Like I am back to my normal self. It's like, there is no way I took enough that I should be experiencing this for 4 hours. And I would go, we're really done? Or there's nothing more? They're like, nope, we're done. And then they'd be quiet. There'd be no visuals, no experience, nothing at all. And I'm like, are you really? I mean, that's it? Like, yeah, you're just source. Like there's nothing else. There's nothing else to think about. There's nothing else to worry about. There's nothing else to ponder. You are source. Done. End of story. And so I just laid there for 3.5 hours waiting for everybody else to be done. So that is truly everything. And that is the final lesson. Our final lesson is that we are source, having forgotten that we are source, having removed our own immense power so that we could come into this world and experience all these things and take it seriously and think we can die and think all these terrible things are actually happening when nothing is actually happening. Let's do a little experiment for a second. I want everybody to close your eyes, everybody watching too. And I want you to imagine you're going to create a little tiny world. You're going to create like a little stick figure family that's in their little stick house. And the stick figures are sitting around their stick table and they're eating their bowls of sticks. And there's a little girl and a little boy and a mom and a dad. Like, you got this, right? Like, you've created this world. These people are sitting around. So now what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that the little stick girl, we'll call her Stickla, she gets, wow, what a surprise, sticks stuck in her throat, and she starts to cough. And everybody leaps into action. You can see them like going, oh no, Stickla, and they're grabbing her and they're giving her the stick Heimlich, and now she's like spitting out sticks and everything's okay. But she really suffered. She was really scared. She was scared she was going to die. Her parents were scared that she was going to die. Even Sticko, whatever the brother's name is, was afraid she was going to die. So why did you just create this? Why did you, as the benevolent stick source, why did you create this terrible experience for them to have gone through? What was your reasoning for doing something so bad? Like, what kind of source are you guys? Like, yeah, sure, I told you that you should do it, but you're just going to listen to me and torture innocent people? Like, so I want you to ask me now, or answer my question now. You can open your eyes. Why did you allow them to have that experience? Yeah, Lisa.
Because that's what they were choosing to do.
Okay, so they chose, right? Okay.
They chose it.
Okay.
And I allowed it.
Okay, cool. I like that. Who else? What else? What is the other reason that you would choose to let that happen to them? Norman. You're going to have to unmute. Do I have to unmute you? There we go. Norman.
Yeah. Oh, because they're not real to begin with. They're just illusionary. They're just my dreams.
Booyah. Yeah. That's it. And guess
Imagination. That's
That's exactly what's happening. None of this is real. We are all a figment of our own imagination. We have created all of this, and we could just change our thoughts and we would cease to exist as these particular beings, but we would still be the source consciousness. There is no difference between what you just did and what we're actually doing right now. Actually, the only difference is this. You can't forget that you're you and put yourself into stickla. That's the difference between what you just did and what we're doing as source right now. So that's the other way that you can stop judging, because this is all just made up. This is all just silliness, just to try it, just to feel it, just to experience it. You don't have to feel so miserable over suffering anymore, because you're just making this shit up. Okay. Anybody have any thoughts on that before I
have a little resistance.
Okay. Let's dig it out.
So when you are in conversation with somebody who's in a state of suffering, and this is the truth. However, it seems really unkind, because it's like an erasure of what they're experiencing in that moment, in a sense.
An erasure? What did you just say?
Like erasing, like it's like a discounting of that particular experience in that particular moment. And so is there a way, or a different way maybe to communicate this sense of continuity from that upper spiritual place to somebody who's really stuck in their 3D experience right now?
Right.
Because
that's an advanced concept. Like if somebody is stuck in their 3D experience right now, that concept isn't going to help them very much.
Exactly. That's my point. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But it's going to help somebody who's kind of on the way, right? That they're going to be like, oh yeah, right. I don't have to worry about anything at all. Heather, you had your hand up. I think you were going to ask and maybe answer Lisa's thought or question.
I was just going to talk with Lisa. I do believe that there is a lesson and something to learn in every experience that we have. And for every person, that experience is going to teach them something different. And as we learn, we help teach others. And so I don't think that all suffering is just irrelevant.
Right. Of course.
And so, like I said to you in the chat, when you go through an experience, you then know how to go through that experience and can help and teach others. And it's a shared energy, you know how we're all connected. So as we learn something, we are also learning it for the collective. And we will help others just by going through it ourselves. Does that make sense? Okay. I just want to share that.
Okay, cool. Anybody else have any thoughts on that? Let's open it up. Leonard, David, Norman?
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I just want to add something real quick. Lisa was saying, we wouldn't say that to someone in the 3D, what I call third density consciousness, that's suffering. We wouldn't come up to them and say, hey, you're not real, let's not feel.
Right.
They wouldn't get it at their level, because you cannot solve a problem from the level of the problem. You got to be outside of it. So that's why when you usually teach, you wait for them to be ready to come to you and stuff like that. So yeah, we wouldn't say it to someone that's suffering. We wouldn't say that to them. We would respect where they're at. We would understand where they're at. We would remember that we were there, and we would be compassionate. So we wouldn't be at the level of uncompassionate. We'd be very compassionate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I felt that this was a pretty advanced group right here, and that you guys could totally take it and get it, and maybe even make a little bit of a step in that awakening process a little bit further, right? Like that's all we're going for here. Just another step, just a little bit closer, because I don't remember, that ayahuasca experience, like your source, that's it, we're done. Blip, like, okay, well, I don't remember that all the time. I don't walk around just going like, I'm source, I am source, I am source. I'm going to cook myself some breakfast because I'm source, right? Like, it's really hard to keep that in your head and to keep that in your presence and in your field. But the more that you can remind yourself of it, the more powerful and the more impactful it can be in your life. And I even teach my students to set an alarm every hour, like during the week of I Am Source Week. They need to set an alarm every hour to have that go off and go, right, I'm source, everything, I've created all of this, and it's really fun to hear what they have to say after that week is over. They're just like, wow, like that really integrated into my life way more than it would have if I hadn't constantly reminded myself of it.
Great idea. That's actually a great idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like what I'm going to share earlier, like life is a paradox, right? So what helped me, because I'm susceptible to anxiety and depression, what I did last 2 months ago when anxiety was too much, I just said to myself, I am anxiety. I'm not a friend. I'm not a son. I'm not a brother. I am just anxiety. The embodiment of the energy right now is anxiety. And then afterwards, when I just embrace myself as anxiety, the experience, and then it immediately flows through. Like I'm not defined by one experience. So I guess that's another way of saying it. Like if I'm judgment right now, then I can be a judgment or I can be happiness also.
Right. Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. And, we tune into emotions. So emotions are just frequencies, and we're tuning into the one that is most appropriate for the situation, for the circumstance. And that's what we've, it's part of our evolution. It's part of our survival process, like I talk about all the time. And we can actually tune into different emotional frequencies on our own, by our own wishes. We can teach our bodies and ourselves and our energy to tune into different ones, as opposed to the one that we always tune into. So if you had a bad experience where you had a fear-based like abuse situation, and you pretty much had a fear-based like panic attack, of course, because you were being abused, which is completely natural and normal, then your body says, okay, I didn't die from that abuse situation, but I had the worst possible emotional experience I could imagine. Body says it worked, right? I just tuned into the worst possible emotion and I survived. Therefore, I survived. So now the body says, okay, that's the one. I'm going to tune into that emotion all the time from now on, whenever, because we know we survived. So now that's I think one of the reasons that people have panic attacks is because they're going, wait a minute, I've got to tune into that horrible emotion because it worked. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that now, even though the situation isn't appropriate for it. Who cares? I just need to survive. I need to make sure that I survive. So it's fairly normal. And so one of the activations that I can do is that I can retune people into different emotional frequencies. So if you are experiencing frustration or anger or fear or whatever, I can do a quick activation that will change you so that now you are actually tuning into a much less painful version of that. So you can tune into, like, a couple of fun ones. There was a friend of mine who called that her boyfriend, she thought, was cheating on her. And so she was upset, so upset. She was beside herself. She couldn't communicate very well. She was really angry about it and disappointed and all that. So so I went ahead and said, hey, do you want me to give you an activation? And she said, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, I'm miserable. Just do something. So I went ahead and I did the activation where I removed the negative signature from the dominant emotion that she was experiencing. And so she went from not being able to like articulate to being like, oh, okay, that feels a lot better. Oh gosh, yeah, maybe he's not cheating on me. Maybe maybe it's something else. Maybe. And so she was able to be logical, because a lot of times the brain gets all screwed up in those those wrong, low vibrational emotional experiences. So there's a lot of tools out there that can help us in those moments. When you're stuck in the moment and you can't get out of it, there are solutions. And so that's, there's a self-promotion. My YouTube channel has an awful lot of those sorts of activations in my videos. So if anybody's not subscribed, definitely check it out. All right.
I don't know if everybody here has experienced Xane's activations.
Yeah. Should we do one?
I think that would be a great gift.
Yes. Okay. Great.
Awesome.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate that. So yeah. So we're going to do a burden release activation. This is a nice quick one that's usually quite powerful. So just go ahead and close your eyes and take a nice big deep breath and feel yourself relax as you exhale. Allow yourself to sink into the chair that you're sitting in. Allow yourself to really feel the earth pulling on you, pulling you down into the ground. Notice the sensation in the bottoms of your feet. Notice the temperature of the room on your skin. So what I want you to do here is think about where you are uncomfortable in your body right now. Almost all of us carry some sort of burden, some sort of negative feeling. It can be physical pain. It can be a weight. It can be tightness. It can be like a muscle that's exhausted because you tense it all the time. Like, just find that thing and really focus on it for a second. Think about how you might describe it to somebody else. Oh, it's like I'm feeling compressed, or it's like there's bubbles, there's angry bubbles inside, like whatever you need to use, however you could possibly describe it. Really focus on it. And I want you to think about, is there an experience that you had in your past that feels related to it? Does it feel like maybe it was caused by some sort of abuse situation or some sort of shame moment? Something like that. And if you can, great. If it's PTSD, then you might not want to dive very deep into this. But if it isn't, then I want you to think about that moment. Take yourself back to that time and try to relive it a little bit. Try to see if you can make that discomfort area of your body more intense. If you don't have a memory of it right now, that's okay. Just try to make that area of your body feel as worse as it's ever felt. Maybe 2 years ago, it was way worse than it is now. Remember how that felt. Really feel it. And then I want you to picture that I've injected you with a colored dye. You choose the color. This dye is attracted to the discomfort area, fills it in. So now not only can you feel what it feels like, but you can see what it looks like. So keep focusing on what it feels like, keep focusing on what it looks like, and keep focusing on what might have caused it, or make it as intense as you possibly can all the way through the activation. I'm going to say breath in. You're going to take a nice big deep breath. You're going to hold it at the top, and you're going to wait for me to say the word awaken, and then you can exhale. So keep focusing on all three of those things. Breath in. Awaken. Wow. Good. Okay, so now with your eyes still closed, keep feeling that spot. Try to bring back the worst possible feeling that you can. And for most of you, it should completely fade out. It may not do it right away. It may take a minute or two, it may take a little bit longer. But as you focus on it, you might find that it's harder and harder to find it. So now I want you to notice your breath moving in and out of your nostrils. Notice where your arms are touching the rest of your body. And when you're ready to be lighter and to have a smile on your face for absolutely no reason at all, then you can open your eyes. All right. Anybody have anything go away? Yeah, Norman. We gotta unmute you. Here you go.
Yeah, I was completely unable to access it again afterwards, and I tried. Even the color of the ink, the dye went away. I couldn't see it anymore.
That's awesome.
So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about what it was that you were experiencing?
Yeah, it was my right ear. I keep having a right ear for like years. It's been going on. It's getting better. But then I busted my eardrum, and then it started leaking, and then it just kept leaking for a long time, and fluid, and then it would itch at night and stuff like that. So it's been okay lately, but it still acts up at night. And so I envisioned that, and I felt the worst, and I was like, okay, that's the worst. And I saw the ink. And then when you did activation, I couldn't feel it anymore, and I couldn't even imagine anymore, and I couldn't see the ink anymore. I was like, wow, that's interesting.
That's so cool. Very good. And so for anybody who does experience something like this and they feel it's gone, it could come back in a couple of days. And so in that case, then you should listen to the activation again and refocus on it, because each time you do it, your body gets more and more used to the new process, the new feelings, and you won't have to do it for very long. It'll probably only take a couple of weeks, if that, and then it'll be gone for good. What did you have, Lisa?
It was it's a pain in my knee, and it really is because of how I sit constantly. And my body is telling me many things, one of which is that I need to learn a new way of sitting and not to sit as much as I do. And the pain was getting pretty intense because I've been sitting with you guys for a while.
Yeah.
And
2 hours and 40 minutes to be exact.
yeah, and it's gone, actually. It's not there right now.
Good. Excellent.
And I find it interesting that you say that we listen to it again, because people would say, oh, well, it didn't really work. It was just in my head, whatever. But it's true. It's a new way of being. Right. And so your body needs to, it's like when you learn to do times tables. My favorite thing is math in the world. And sarcasm. And so your body needs to remember how to be well, just as it remembered how to get sick.
Right. Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of that. And then, if you go into lower vibrational emotional experiences and you go into suffering over those things, then, you can kind of you've got free will. So you're going to bring yourself back to the way that you were before. And so that's why I actually teach a class, because as powerful as my activations are, free will trumps that every time. So I have to help people change the way that they think about everything in their everyday life to make it easier and easier for them to retain that energy healing.
Mm. Thank you. That's powerful.
Thank you. All right, Heather.
I had a tightness in my back and in my shoulders. That's where I just.
Yeah.
And same thing with me. After you did the activation and asked us to find it, I just couldn't find it anymore. And that's a beautiful experience.
That's awesome.
And thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Heather, have you participated in any of my other activations?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I did not know about rewatching them though, which makes absolute 100% complete sense because we have muscle memory.
Right.
And so especially if you've had something that's been there for years, your brain and your muscles have been trained to be in pain.
Right.
And so I'm definitely going to be doing the reactivations, like Lisa said, to learn to be well.
Right.
To learn to not be in pain.
Good.
Thank you.
Exciting. Yeah. Keep me informed, everybody. I want to hear how you're doing and how it goes, because, it helps me. It helps me guide others. Once I get more and more empirical information, I'm learning forever. That's what I signed up for. So help me. I appreciate it. All right. Now, Miriam has been in the waiting room for a little while, right? Like you haven't been kicked out for a little bit, have you?
Yeah. But now I feel it is working. You hear me?
Yes. You're a little quiet, but we can hear you.
Okay. Maybe we turn the volume a bit, because we had to change the camera. We had it the other way around because we just have an iPad. Maybe it was really that. We hope so.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a performance for us? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Yes, sure. Thank you very much. Blessings to you all. Nice to meet you here. Good.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and do what I did last time, where I'm going to put everybody in the waiting room so we can focus on our wonderful friends. Miriam, can you introduce yourselves just for a moment so we know? Let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello. Yes, my name is Miriam, and this is Isa. And we were born in this incarnation in Switzerland, and now we live on the island of Ibiza, a beautiful Balearic island. And yes, we had quite a journey the last years in Switzerland. Over 5-6 years, we were living in the forest, really free, just with a plastic tarp, just around the fire, cleaning ourselves. The Christ and Magdalene consciousness was from the beginning there when we two met, what was guiding us, what was sustaining this process of letting go, of remembering being truly human, of remembering that we all are indigenous souls, and that we really truly embody this reconnection to Mother Gaia, and then also further on to the galactic realms. And as you all know, this is opening so very fast at the moment for many of us. And yes, the sound was always with us. It was our main medicine, although we also have experiences with plant medicine, but the sound was really something that helped us through everything, to sound our pain, to sound out our wounds, to really reconnect with this human voice. And especially also for me as a woman with my womb healing, the sound helped me. And so this emerged, this, let's say, shamanic voice, this remembering. You could also call it channeling. In the end, we are all channelers. We all are channels and vessels for different energies. And yes, you want to say something to the siblings?
I just give thanks to you, Daniel. So grateful for doing that, and all the siblings who share their experience, and so great to hear all of you. And yes, blessings on a good year.
Yes. So we start. And first, there's a prayer from the Essenes to invoke the Merkaba, your light body. And afterwards, I'm going to do a shamanic toning. So we just start right away. Good.
Ai kuite puritain toiko paupoietana te omio kote. Ai te kuite kopio poketa mio pote tai te tai te. Hey Pachamama ki utoi tama wo pantea. Onde
Kirtoitama watane e kuitama watati koyana tuto rotama taika pompa watana he kuitama latana te puika aito koru tuisa la 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 teipo watana he kaya matatia to enkaito pawa ai ana aiti a oka raka kuraska ei tuku kuite ai ama watana iko puite aite kiu tui koro pui tawa ei koi peiko.
Wow. That was amazing.
Thank you brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
you sent me a little sample of what you can do, and you far exceeded my expectations. That's amazing.
Thank you, brother. Thank you really very much for this opportunity. And as I wrote you, and this also goes out to all the soul siblings, you know, you really are all soul siblings. And now is the time that we really recognize each other, like in a more fast way. We read each other's soul codes and we just feel we have something to do with each other. And so it was so beautiful that this could emerge now out of this. And I saw you, you saw me in that sense. And that's just beautiful. It's really beautiful to enter in this new year like this. So it's really a big blessing.
Absolutely. Yeah, what a wonderful way to ring it in. And thanks for all of your patience dealing with the technical issues. Like you put a lot of perseverance into that, and that should be commended. Very well done.
Yeah. It was a test. It was a good test to enter the new year. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so you're going to be performing at the next Higher Self Expo.
Yep.
So we'll definitely have to make sure we get all the technical stuff worked out, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think, but it was okay now.
Yeah, now it functioned pretty well. So I really think it was the camera. I hope so. But for sure we check out. Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again. It is 6 minutes away from New Year's for me. Yeah, there's some fireworks going on outside now. I can hear them. All right. Okay, so I would love to hear another song by Maria. Why don't we go ahead and do that now too, if you're good with that, Maria? Okay. Sorry to bring you all back and then take you all away again. Haha. All right, you ready? Oh, you're muted. Let me unmute you. There we go. Okay, take it away.
Yes, I thought I would sing a song that I wrote for Christmas. It's called The Christ in Our Hearts. Help us believe there is hope for a world where we all are joyful and have everything we need. Help us believe that love is the answer, uniting us all and setting us free. Help us look within for all the answers. May the wisdom of our heart lead us everywhere we go. This is how we build a world we want to know. Help us to see what we all have in common. Our differences will fade away when we all start to care. Help us to see a bright, shining future for ourselves and the children, and get us there. Help us to be present in the moment and allow everything to be felt and wounds to heal. This is how we get to the world we want to see. What if we just would try to pretend that we all were Christ and miracles were done? Then we would share all the gifts we were given. We would see the light in all and everyone.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Thanks
for getting up early for us. Like, you had to get up at 6:30 in the morning on New Year's Day. After how late were you up? You were up pretty late, I bet.
I slept 4 hours, I think.
Okay.
It's worth that.
Yeah. All right. I'm glad it's worth it for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. So it is now New Year's Day for me. Is it? Oh, 2 minutes to go. And you know, I feel the energy is feeling like we're almost done. Don't you guys think? Is there another thing that you want to do, that you want to talk about? Is there something that you're just like, yeah, we should? Anything? Anybody? No? Okay. Well, I've got it. Maybe you could do one more topic and we call it the end of the evening and the beginning of a new year. Oh, you know, one thing that I really do like to talk about is the transition from a 3D consciousness to a 4D to a 5D. I think that's a really good little topic that we can hit on, because as we move into this year where we could focus on whatever we want to focus on, this is our opportunity to go ahead and recalibrate ourselves. And so what is it that would, you know, be ideal from that perspective? I think would be to recognize that from a 3D perspective to a 4D perspective. A 4D perspective is saying we can heal ourselves. We don't have to go to a doctor. We don't have to go to a healer. We actually, of course, all have the power within us to do that. And maybe you go to a healer to help them teach you how to do it, but that's about it, because the rest of it is all you. So moving into that perspective and then moving into the 5D perspective, what's the difference in that category? It is that you are everything and you can make anything happen or not happen, whatever it is that you want, rather than just healing yourself. You could heal the world in a 5D situation. Okay, so the other thing that's kind of fun is that we are actually witnessing our society move from a 3D to a 4D. And sometimes it doesn't feel like we're doing that at all, because we're just going like, okay, everybody's miserable. There's all this abuse. There's all these terrible things going on. But actually, even in business, we're moving into a 4D world because of creations like Airbnb. I'm actually in an Airbnb right now. I'm staying in somebody else's house and I'm paying them money. That is all them. It's not like I'm in a hotel right now, right? So I didn't go to a hierarchy. I went to a neighbor. In this case, it's a neighbor, you know, a few states away, but it's still a neighbor. So we are being able to help each other rather than go up the hierarchy, up the chain, and pay the big corporate CEO. We're doing a lot more interacting with each other, and we're setting up systems for that. Cryptocurrency is another perfect example of that, of finding a way to decentralize what we have considered to be a government-run thing, money, all this time. So, you know, and then when you move into a 5D kind of situation, it's even more extreme on that, where again, you get to do whatever it is that you want to do. There's not a collective that is outside of you. You are now integrated into the collective. So you essentially just get whatever you need because everybody is there to provide for you. So one of the things that I've really enjoyed about understanding the human collective, the 3D human collective, we talk about the Arcturian collective and we talk about the Pleiadian collective. Well, guess what? We're a collective too. And we actually are constantly adding to the collective, and the kind of groupthink that happens here, we are tearing down the walls to that right now, because for the longest time we've believed that that the sexes are unequal, that you have to get a job, that you have to go to college, all of these things are a collective based concept. And so we are actually moving into an all new, we're reformatting what that collective concept is. And part of the reason for that is technology. We're able to do this right now. It wasn't really that long ago where we wouldn't be able to do anything like this and create our own New Year's Eve broadcast event. So we're actually able, I'm Dick Clark tonight, and I'm actually able to direct a completely different concept for a New Year's Eve experience. And we can all do that every single one of us. Leonard just interviewed me on a thing that he came up with, and lots of people saw it. And, you know, now more people are awakened. So we can take it within ourselves to go ahead and create whatever it is that excites us that will help move our society from a 3D to a 4D to a 5D. So there's a little preamble. Does anybody have any other thoughts that they're going, yeah, how do we get there? What's the process? What's it going to look like? I open it up to the floor.
No, for me, the way to get there is to realize that you're already there. You are the one that you've been waiting for.
Yeah.
That it's like, how can a knife cut itself? How can a mirror find itself? The one looking for is just you. It's like you're playing hide and seek with yourself. And just like the manifesting thing a while ago, the more you chase awakening, the more you amplify the message that you're not awakened, but in reality, you're as awakened as you thought yourself to be. So really, all is well. There's nothing to figure out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it's just like the doorway, right? Where I said, you're going to step through the door and go to 5D, or are you going to stay here in this 3D because it's perfect? Same exact concept. Yeah. Okay. So what else? What are other indicators, or what are other things that we feel like we're going to see over the next year? Let's do the predictions. What is going to happen over the next year or 2 or 5 that is going to make a big difference? And we're going to look back on this day, this night, this month, December, as a turning point. Norman.
Come to mind is there's going to be a lot of change. It's going to be a lot of changes, and it's going to start in the United States, because just like Atlantis, United States is the new Atlantis representation, and the world kind of follows that. But there's going to be they're going to restructure the government. There's going to be a lot more disclosure. A lot of the so-called secret intelligence that were off the books, Black Ops stuff, all that stuff is going to be cleaned up. ETs are going to be disclosed. The financials are going to change, because we're already seeing it. I follow cryptocurrency. I've been buying cryptocurrency for years, and I see how the price of Bitcoin when I first started was like $200, and right now the price of Bitcoin is, I think, close to $30,000.
Yeah.
The value of a currency is how much faith people put in it, and $1 is worth $1, and 1 Bitcoin is worth $30,000. And the reason it's gotten so big to $30,000 is because the financial institutions, the bankers, have said that we have lost. We have to switch to this more decentralized currency. Yep. And they realize that United States just printing money from a private corporation called the Federal Reserve is not the answer, and it's done. So we're going to see that. We're going to see a lot of health stuff get released. We already have the technology. The Secret Space Agency had the technology to replace an arm, to heal everything instantly. It's all been done already. It's just been kept in a secret. So that's going to be revealed. I don't know if that's going to be all in 2021. I'm expanding like into the future a little bit.
Yeah.
But so yeah, all that's going to happen, and we're going, like you said. I think somebody said before. Right now, our technology is planet-based, right? Coal, fossil fuel.
Right.
We're going to go solar. And the first thing we're going to do is solar, is start getting our energy from the sun. Then we're going to go galactic. And we're going to start, when we meet our extraterrestrial neighbors, we're going to start sharing some of their stuff that they're waiting to give us. And it's going to be on. There's a book called Shard of the Shattered Mirror by Daryl Anka, who channels Bashar.
Yeah, I love Bashar.
I read that book, and basically he's Hilo Villasinka, which is one of his versions of him from the future, 700 years in the future. So in the book, it's like a story, but they're sharing technology from 700 in the future. They have these little tablets that, like a smartphone, you just tap it and just turn into a marble. You just put it in your pocket. They have these things called Chinooks that you could just walk through, and you could just be in Paris at different stations. Just like you have a train station, they have teleportation stations.
Right.
Like the next cities and all that stuff.
This is on the planet Essasani, right?
No, this is on Earth in 700 years.
I see. Okay.
This is what people from 700 years from now are dictating to us. They're saying 700 years, you're going to have teleportation stations, you're going to have all this nanotechnologies and all this stuff. It's going to come real quickly.
That's awesome. All right. Well, now I want to hear what Miriam believes the next year or 5 years or so brings to us, because, she lived in the forest, right? And so she's going to bring a very different perspective, I think. So I'm excited to hear that. Miriam, will you tell us your predictions?
Yes, I guess as all possibilities, all timelines are now merging, everything is possible. And so it's all optional. It's always how we decide to really root inside ourselves. And I'm really also more and more since the last year, more connecting to the idea of this outer technology, because in the past I was a bit anti-technology.
Right. That's why I wanted to ask you what you thought. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this really changed, because inwards, outwards is all the same. It's all a reflection. And what we are really always eager to say is also, like, the most intelligent device is right here. So for us, it's also that we don't get totally distracted in this outward technology, that we really develop, the yogis call this the siddhis, the superpowers. So that's what I'm seeing, that we are developing, as we know, telepathy, levitation, whatever you think of. So that we find the balance between these two realms, and we will do that. And so we are merging heaven and earth, but also inner and outer all comes together. It's always this lying eight, it's the 0 point. It's in the end, for us, Christ consciousness is something indigenous. It's cosmic as well, but it's connected to all the indigenous people of the world. And as I said, I think before, it's really more about letting go what doesn't serve us anymore, and then really surrender into receiving, really becoming a vessel and to receive the messages or whatever we have. We have so many lifetimes we lived, most of us here on planet Earth, and so much is still to come back, to integrate and to come into a full potential. So yeah, we are great devices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say the word integrative also, yes, because there's value in everything. There's value in Western medicine. There's value in Eastern medicine. There's value in technology. There's value in nature. So why don't we bring it all together? Because what's the opposite of integrative? It's separative, and separative it slows us down. It brings us backwards. But integrative brings us forward. So we can have permaculture concepts surrounded by technology to make the permaculture concept easier and more straightforward, essentially. So yeah, it goes infinitely further, I think, when you do that.
And what just now comes also to say is like that we just really look after our body vessels, because these are organic vessels. So the organic approach is really, really important, that we can develop this vessel, So really contact to nature is key for that. And really, we sleep outside, often in the teepee, and for years now, and in the forest. And that's really the medicine, It's so beautiful, and it's for free. It's really
yes. Yeah. Where are you guys located again? Can you tell everybody where you're at?
Yeah, you want to say?
Yeah, we are on the island of Ibiza.
Ibiza, yeah.
Ibiza in Spain.
Okay.
And yeah, it's great to be here on the island and be with Mother Earth. We just had the night. Now we have 7 o'clock in the morning. So we had the night in the teepee, and then we get up at 4. We had a little resting with grandfather fire and had some prayers during the night. It was pretty calm. Yeah, it's very beautiful to be here, and I just like to share it. For me, it's really all about that we, as we go through the 4th dimension, and we can rise higher and go rooted in the 5th and higher dimensions. it's really time about working with our emotions and really being vulnerable with each other and support us as siblings, as brothers and sisters in this time. And as we can go, we find the surrendering to source energy, to Holy Spirit, who's everywhere. And then we cannot imagine where it's gone, but where it will go. But we will just surrender and we will do that shift into that heart and Christ consciousness into the future. And yeah, it's all about connecting to the earth, being with the earth. Mother Earth is here. The elements, the fire, the wind, the water, they are the medicine. They talk to us as we can go into the silence, into the I am presence, into the breath. We connect through our emotions. We have all the different tools, so it's great. I feel something is going and we are doing it. So grateful, and I feel so blessed. I'm very grateful, brother and sisters.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I want to come visit you there. I want to sleep in the teepee. Will you let me do that?
Yeah, for sure. You are all very, very welcome. Very welcome, my friends.
All right. We're going to have a New Year's. Next New Year's will be at your place.
Yes.
Yeah, the place also where we are staying, the land, particular where we could stay and the teepee is, it's really a big land, and it's a lot of potential here also to do live sessions like you do now. Like we will have some good spots, and also a cave or a room what is made into the earth, and will be all electric, and everything will be there to do streams and kind of stuff like this. Yes.
Okay. That I was coming anyway, but now I really want to. Thank you.
We definitely share more with you, brother.
Yeah. Let's talk.
Yeah, it'd be wonderful. Well, okay. So what I think I would like to do, Maria, would you like to play us one more song as a goodbye song for everybody? That would be wonderful. Thank you, Norman, Leonard, Marcella, Miriam, and then all the other wonderful people who joined us throughout the night, who participated in the chat, who asked questions and helped us have an amazing New Year's Eve and New Year's Day for many. Thank you again, and we will let Maria play us out. We'll see you soon. All right. All right. Okay, let's see. You're muted. I'm going to unmute you. Okay. Which song are you going to do for us now, Maria?
The other song that I wrote for my Christmas live.
Okay, excellent. What's the name of it?
It's called the Snowflake Song.
Oh, yes.
Since I love snow.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, well, you're in Sweden, so you better, right?
Yes. And finally, it was snowing 2 days ago, so I could make a snowman yesterday and go sliding with my kids.
Nice. Wonderful. All right. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.
All I see when I open up my window is the snowflakes dancing from the sky. They cover the world like shiny little diamonds. They brighten up my life and make me smile. On my cheek I can feel a little snowflake. It reminds me of a touch from someone dear. I breathe in the air and all the Christmas spirit and get ready for a brand new year.
All right. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you so much.